this computer. There we go. Okay, hold on. Okay, we're getting ready to do a hoof evaluation off of the forum. It is June 20th, 2019. We're going to do a hoof evaluation for Louisa. Louisa, am I saying that right? Because, I mean, I'm going to forget people's names from one second to the next. Let's see. Okay, hold on
here. Yes, you're saying it right.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to read her story. It says, hi all, my journey with Flicka started around 6 years ago, bringing in a young 4-year-old rescue mare. Her previous owners didn't believe in hoof care. If the hooves got long, they believed in riding the horse on a hard surface so it would break off. Being a new horse owner with no trimmer in my area, her hooves only got trimmed a year or two after. Thus, her first hoof trimming session happened around 5 or 6 years of age. Her back hooves only being done at 9, as people told me back hooves rarely need to be trimmed. And so I only did the front. Can I ask where you live? Somebody look there.
South Africa.
Okay.
Said before.
Okay. Well, I know that they do have some pretty tough wild horses and different things out there that probably never get trimmed. So says, I did a natural barefoot trimming, which involved trimming the toes and then doing a Mustang roll. That's it. I want to learn how to do her hooves and the other 5 horses I trim in a way that will support her well-being. Recently, she has been diagnosed with laminitis, and so hooves has become a very high priority as I have been reading and learning about the importance of correct trimming. I'll post a few pictures of her hooves at the first trimming sessions and also then the correct photos taken yesterday from all the required angles. Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm just not going to say much here as I look through these and let them speak to me. No, just joking. Well, you know. Yep, they've been self-trimming pretty much there, but not enough, huh? But probably because she has such strong hoof walls that they just aren't able to self-trim as much as she would like. Man, you got your work cut out for you. That looks like some hard hooves. Was it a veterinarian that diagnosed her with laminitis? Now that definitely looks, you know, laminitic, kind of like when you tap on it, it sounds hollow.
She said yes to the vet question.
Okay. And, you know, it doesn't look like you've got an abundance of green grass around there. Are you in pretty deserty, dry country?
No, that's just that area.
Just this area here. So is she on lush green grass, or where is she usually kept? Bless you. Gesundheit.
Usually on grass, winter now, so grass has gone off.
Okay, but would you say it's like, is it so green? Like what did the vet say? What does he think the reason for her laminitis is?
Grass.
Grass, okay. See that the periopal, how stretched it is there. So we know that one way or another, I mean, obviously you haven't trimmed her so much that you trimmed the heels out of her, but something has happened because of not being trimmed. Um, Maybe, could be the grass and laminitis in that fashion, but it could be a lot mechanical too because of the lack of trimming. So a combination. I mean, you look over here, you see these rings that go down like that? That's a sign that, well, that there is a sign that there is heel missing. And that can happen for different reasons. I mean, uh, uh, well, look, horses wear their heels down too, or what could happen was the heels got long, collapsed forward, and then got trimmed down, or any number of things. So this is the left hind, but she's got it in all 4 feet, doesn't she?
Mhm. She said yes to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely rotation, where the back of the foot has rotated up, and then this periopal skin has stretched here. And there's no frog stay between there, really. So, the back of her foot, the capsule is just not fitting the foot, and the foot has rotated up out of the back of the capsule.
I wonder, could that be from very long bars, a bit like Jackie, pushing the back up
Yeah, that could be too.
and levering the heel down as it got too long and crashed forward.
Yeah.
She says they're worse in the back.
Worse in the back. Yeah, you can see she hasn't got any frog stay. Just the heels, there's no heel really. They're always worse in the back, it seems like.
Those bars are very long.
Yeah. Boy, you about need a whatchamacallit, angle grinder. Just looks so dry and hard, don't they?
Yes, they certainly do.
What I see is that just a lot of things have kind of got out of control here. Like, look at the bar right here. See, when these bars get like that, it's going to pull the back of the foot down and forward. So, even though you perhaps haven't trimmed this horse a lot, just the combination of excess growth and having it not wear off like it should, and then some of the trimming on top of it, it's all going to add to leverages placed on the hoof capsule that pull it off the foot. And then, once that starts, you got inflammation anyway because of the neglect of her feet. She had inflammation whenever the toes get long, just like if your fingernails were long and you had to go dig in the dirt, it's going to pry your fingernails off. Well, that's what it does with these horses. And so they're in a state of inflammation anyway. And then, if they eat just the right thing or wrong thing, then that can add to it, because definitely what you eat can cause inflammation. I know that personally because there's things I eat like rice. Oh my God. For some reason, my body just decides, well, I'm going to be on fire tonight. It causes severe inflammation in me. Wheat, gluten, inflammation, and some people that get Lyme's disease, okay, they get allergic to red meat and it gives them inflammation. So, you know, it's a combination, but like for me, I know I had some injuries, tendon injuries and things like that to begin with. So it's a combination of the injuries I've had along with whatever I'm eating is just not agreeing with that. It's aggravating that inflammation. And so, you know, I think, in my opinion, this is a combination of things, but it most likely started out mechanical. You know, just constant inflammation, constant leverage on a long hoof wall. When you look under here, okay, what you see here is, like, I'm not sure, but see, this looks like bar laying over the sole right here. And this is definitely bar laying over the sole right here. Just a minute here. Let me annotate. Well, actually, what I'd rather do, that annotate, the thing is, you cannot then take a screenshot. Uh-oh, I've disappeared. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Okay, the thing that we do in TAC is we understand the internal foot. See, what you're looking at there, that's just a shell. That's just a shoe that's supposed to be on the foot. Okay, we're gonna take a look at a foot here, the foot that should be underneath there. We're just gonna go ahead and well, first we'll take, wait a minute. Okay, first we're gonna take this, copy, we're gonna put it in paint right over here. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna put it in paint right here. And now we're going to look at some anatomy so that you can understand what we're doing here is we're making boundaries for everything on the foot so that it doesn't get out of bounds, so it doesn't grow in the wrong place, and so that it doesn't create a leverage that is prying that hoof capsule off the foot. Well, let's see here. Where do I want to go? Let's go to pictures first. And we'll just grab, well, let's just, again, you know, we always got to remind ourselves what we're dealing with here. That the real foot is the internal foot. And this thing we're dealing with on the outside is just a shell, like a shoe that fits on that foot. And that internal foot has certain anatomical parts, and everything on that hoof capsule has to grow from that and maintain a certain location and a certain boundary. And when those things start to grow out of control and get in the wrong place, that's when, you know, that internal foot is going to have inflammation. That's when you're going to have mechanical laminitis starting, which is going to lead to high stress in the horse. And then when they eat something or the wrong thing, that can affect it too, and it just becomes a vicious circle. Okay, so here is the real foot right here. This is just the shell, and it's a very thin shell. See, and it's supposed to be shaped similarly, well, just like this, but, you know, it's going to be bigger. But you see, it's just a shell that fits on here, and it has to fit a specific way. And so we can tell hoof distortion when we really know this foot and we know exactly how this capsule is supposed to grow from it, where all the parts are supposed to be, and that they're in the right right place. And so if they get out of bounds, we know it. I want to get to a picture of the bottom of this. See, we know where the heels are. We know how long the heels should be. We know what should be growing between the bulbs here. We know how much thickness we should have on the frog, how much sole we should have. Everything has a boundary. I want to look at the bottom of the foot here. Okay. So let's see here. I'm going to reduce this. And I'm going to take another picture of it. Okay. Although the difference here is what I'm looking at here is a front foot and you have a back foot here. And so they're going to be different shaped in the toe. But all the basic parts are still going to be the same. Okay. Getting this stuff out of the way. Let's see. Turn that around. And take a picture of it right there. Okay, now we're going to put that in paint next to your picture here. We're going to put this right here. And we're going to put this right here. We'll make it a little bit smaller. Okay. Now, let me get something to draw with. And blue. Okay, so right here, here's where your frog would be. It should not be any wider than that, the frog growth. Let's see where yours is. It's all over the place. Okay. See all this in here? This is all growth that is holding the heels forward so that the back of the foot can expand. And so what happens is when the heels are not right, it can cause in and of itself laminitis. So the frog is, well, wait a minute. Let me undo that. Hold on. Oh, okay. About like so. Your frog is overgrown. You need to come in here and clean all this up and get it out of the collateral groove. See that groove there? That's the collateral groove. See, you can't even hardly, I mean, everything is so mushed together, you know? So that'd be the first thing you'd want to do on this foot is clean up this frog. Come in here, trim down the apex right there, down to where you see where it's meeting sole, where it's blending in with the sole. Okay, and then you're going to want to really clean up this frog and all this periopal skin back here. See, you can't even hardly tell what's periopal and what's frog, what's bar. See, that's the thing. Let me look at a hoof capsule here. Hold on. Well, I thought I had a picture of the bottom of that hoof capsule. Yes, I don't in this one. Nope. Okay, well, let me go back here. Back. crying out loud. I don't know why I did not take a picture of the back of that hoof capsule. Just a second. There's probably one in here. Okay. This will help a little bit. Okay, so we're going to take this picture. I've got cleaner pictures than that, but this will show you something here. Just a minute. Okay, let's take these over here. Let's put this here. Okay, so this is the hoof capsule that goes on this foot. You see there? Now see how you can tell. You can really tell what the frog is, can't you? And you can really tell where the bar is, where the heel is, where the wall is. But on your feet, you can't. And so this foot grows sole, like the sole. Let me, uh-oh, where'd that come from? Let me get rid of that. Okay, so the sole is all around here. That's all sole.
We're not seeing what you're looking at, Linda.
I wonder why. Did we not share? Did I undo share?
I think you unshared.
I wonder how that happened. Hold on. Huh. Well, this thing is being just a second. For some reason, the program has decided it's going to, Okay, yeah, for some reason it unshared. Okay, there you go. Now can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we're going, here's what I've done. I've taken, this is the foot. Let me move this. Okay, this is the sole. But here in, I'm unsure where your sole is here. Just a minute. See, I can see some here. I'm not sure what that is. That looks kind of like partial bar. And then here, that's all the sole I can see on the bottom of your foot. Okay, this here, this is bar. Okay, now look over here where my bars are here. Here's the bar, right here. Here's the heel, here's the wall. Bar, you see, oh, that's not very good. This is the bar, there's the heel, there's the wall. All this in here is sole. So you can tell what's sole here, but you can't tell what's sole on the bottom of your foot here. So what we do is we understand the bottom of this foot and what grows where and where it should be. Now what happens is, like say when you have bar that's grown up, let me get a different color here. We'll do blue for bar. Okay, your bars grow right here. And that's the extent of their boundary. They shouldn't be growing clear up into here. See there? When they grow clear up into here, what happens? It covers up the sole here, and everything on this foot that grows this hoof capsule is kind of like grass. You know how when you have grass and you set something down on it, it quits growing. If you cover it up, it quits growing. And so that's what happens to these feet. If we allow this bar here to grow clear up into here, when it's supposed to only be right here, then look at it, it's covering up all that sole there. And then look here at this bar here. I'm not sure if that's the bar or that's where the bar is. But irregardless, this is covering up the sole, because the sole should be like, let's do this. The sole should be like this. I should be able to see that much sole in the bottom of that foot, and that's not what I'm seeing. It's all covered over by bar, because see this bar here that's right here? Okay, how does that bar grow? It grows this way at an angle, right? Okay, so what we learn in mapping is how to map, draw lines on the bottom of the foot that will give us a general idea of where the boundaries of all these anatomical parts should be. So, you know, if my bar is supposed to be here, but I don't know how to trim it because I don't know where the boundary is, then it starts getting meshed with and merging with other parts of the sole here, and then it gets like that and you can't tell what's what, you know. And so since it grows right here and it grows this way, okay, because I don't, it doesn't get cut right, or it doesn't get worn right, or whatever, then it can wind up growing and smooshing all over the foot. In fact, we've seen bars that have grown over the whole foot and covered the whole foot up. So that's why we have to learn how to have an anatomical boundary on these bars, and that's why we use mapping, hoof mapping, which I might do some hoof mapping on a real foot here, real dead foot. So when we map, which the mapping is not based on this, the mapping is based on this right here, and understanding basic, what we call in the ballpark measurements of this foot on an average sized horse. Your regular saddle horses, they're all within, you know, half an inch to an inch of each other. You know, yeah, you get the great big Clydesdales and stuff like that, you're going to have a little different measurements, but most of us are riding normal sized horses, you know, saddle horses, even if some of them are bigger, you know. And so what this mapping does, it gets you in the general vicinity. And what we're finding is that for most horses, this area is pretty general. Okay, where they really change is right back here in the back of the foot. Okay, like when I trimmed my horse's heels out, it shortened his foot up to about there. When I restored the heels, it lengthened his foot out to about there. I had soaking boots that wouldn't fit him anymore. Okay, I'm gonna just remove some of this stuff here. Uh-oh. Just a minute. You know, so we do these hoof evaluations, but we also, as we're doing them, we have to explain all the principles that go into this. Oops. Let me get that picture again and put it here. Okay. Because the thing about tact is understanding, correct understanding. And so the mapping, anatomical mapping, you know, they map your brain. Surgeon, when he is getting ready to take your appendix out, he's going to map your body to make sure he's on the right side and taking the right organ. You know, hopefully he knows his left side from the right side. They map the heart, they map the brain. So surely we can do a general mapping to find the anatomical locations of what the skin on this foot grows. Because you're looking at this foot, it's just skin. It's a foot, it's a whole foot. It's not an organ. It's just a foot that grows its own shoe. Okay, and in the wild, in certain conditions, not all conditions, in the wild, in certain conditions, these horses will wear their feet just perfectly. In other worse conditions, they'll wear the heels out. Okay, that horse is going to have a shorter lifespan. I don't care what anybody says. We can have better than wild feet because we have logic, we have understanding, we know the anatomy, and we can take control of our horse's feet and make sure that everything is just right for them. Okay, so in mapping, again, we're creating boundaries for everything. And so what we'll do, you get a protractor. That's something you need to do. You need to get a protractor. Do you know what I mean by that? Louisa?
He says yes.
Okay, so you need to get a protractor because you're going to lay that protractor up here. You're going to make a mark here and a mark in the center here, and you're going to draw a line down the foot. See, you're going to make a little mark here and a little mark there. So you're in the center, and you're going to draw a line down the center of the foot right there. Okay, this is so when you lay your protractor up here. Okay, your protractor, let me make one here. Okay. Okay, can you hold on just a second? I got a phone call. Okay, so here's our protractor. And we want to put a little mark here. Well, wait a minute here. What I do on that protractor is I got a mark here. What is going on? Come here. Got stuff in the way. I guess it just don't want to change to black. There we go. Okay, I put a little mark up here. And I put one down here. Okay. So that I can line it up. This protractor's a little small. So that when you, darn it, just a second. When you put that protractor on the foot and you, oh, come on. It's supposed to be transparent. Anyway, you line it up with those lines. See how I got that line with that line and that line with that line? Let me redo this here. See there? So then I would bring my protractor up here. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to dig down and I'm going to get the true apex of my frog right here. Then I'm going to measure 1.5 inches up, and that's supposed to be where the white line should about end. And then I'm going to hold my, I'm going to put, this is why you do this. See that black mark, how it's lined up with that blue mark right there and the black mark here with the blue mark there, so that I can get a straight line across the toe. Because one of the big problems we have with people doing things just by eye, unless they are professional trimmers, is they don't know how to get to trim a straight toe. It'll be more like this, like that, a lot of times, instead of straight. And so that's why we use this protractor in this way, so that we can learn to do straight lines. Let me get that out of there. Okay, so anyway, that's why we use a protractor. And so we're going to find the reason that we have to find the true apex of the frog right here is because it is just a little ways ahead. Looky here. Okay, who can tell me what this is? Who can tell me the name of this right here? What is that?
Frog corium
Frog corium. And what's it do?
grows the frog.
It grows the frog. Okay, what is this right here?
Frog.
Frog. And where does it grow from?
From there.
Yes, from there, from the frog corium. Okay. Okay, so there has been, a lot of times this apex here can stretch clear up to here. Or the frog grows, and as the horse walks, he steps on it and smashes it forward. And, it can go clear up to here. Okay, now, so we want to find the true apex, which we're not going to go totally into how you do that tonight. But, okay, so I'm marking right about here is about where the true apex is. Get back there. Let me get back to blue. Okay. Oops, wait a minute. Okay, so we come in there, we mark the true apex of the frog. Right. There we go. Okay. And then, no, hers was about right. The thing about it is it's going to be rounded. If your apex is pointy, okay, like you've got a lot of frog here. Okay, so you need to get down to clean frog and really trim this up. See the shape of the frog here? Look at the shape of the frog corium that grows the frog. Okay, now look at this. Just a minute here. Okay, you see the shape of the frog corium. And of course the frog's going to be thicker. Okay. Shape of the frog. And now look at the shape of your frog. I'm not sure what that is there, if it goes there or there. See what I'm saying? This is why we also do map the frog. And why do we map the frog? Because we have a sense of where the frog corium is that grows the frog. So we know that if the frog is clear over here, or clear out in here, that it's out of boundaries. Okay, so let's see here. Where am I at? Okay. All right, so there have been a lot of studies done, mostly by Gene Ovanik. They studied a lot of coffin bones on a lot of different sized horses, and they come up with a general measurement, which is, I can't remember. Okay, it's a general measurement from the true apex of the frog here to the end of the coffin bone. I can't remember if it's 3/4 of an inch or an inch. Okay, but what we do, because we're going to add sole to, because see, the sole grows beyond this. Okay, so what we do is we measure 1.5 inches from here to the white line. that gives us, on most of these horses, plenty of room. Just a minute. Do this. Okay, so 1.5 inches. I know hers was just right at 1.5 inches, right there. From there to there is 1.5 inches. And this is where it would be on the internal foot. See there, it goes past the actual foot itself so that you know you're not going to be, carving into the foot or something like that because the foot, let's see, how do I do this? Explain this real quick here. Okay. Okay, so now, just a second. Okay, hold on. Not a very nice foot. But what I wanted you to do is get the idea here. Okay. See right here on this, what I'm drawing here, that would be your white line right there. Okay, you see how the wall starts up here and it grows forward, right? So this is why if we do 1.5 inches, we are well past the sole corium of the toe. See, we're right here at 1.5 inches. Right there is 1.5 inches. Your frog is about here. The true apex of the frog is right here. And we measure 1.5 inches forward so that we are well past this foot right here, the internal toe, the sole corium of the foot. And so there's been a lot of studies on this distance. And it is very similar, and I wish I could find that study that was done by Gene Ovanek and his son, Cody. Okay, because they took a lot of horses with a lot of coffin bones, did a lot of x-rays, and they came up with some really general good measurements of from the true apex to the tip of the coffin bone. Okay, but then you got sole corium, you see it there, that goes past the coffin bone. But when we do our mapping, we're mapping the hoof capsule length of the toe so that we got plenty of room here for sole in the toe as the hoof capsule grows forward. Okay, so this is what you would do. You'd clean up this foot and you're going to come in there and map it, draw a line there. Then you're going to, remember, you're going to clean this up. You're going to clean up this frog, but you might want to map the frog before you clean it up. I would just follow that right there. And I would come in here and clean all of this frog up and out. Clear down into here. You see how this is here? And this is your collateral groove right here. These two grooves on the side of the frog. So you're really going to want to clean this frog up. And that's going to, see, this frog has grown up and over the bar right there. So that's pushing the bar up and over the sole as well. Then you're going to come in. So I would do that first. I would totally clean this frog up before I did any more mapping. Then I come back and I remap. You know, sometimes I remap my mapping after I do one thing. So the first thing, you're going to trim down that apex. You're going to trim this frog up good. You're going to have a sharp knife and you take a short grip on it. You don't hold it by the handle. you got good gloves, and you take a short grip on it, where your hand is actually on the blade, so that you can control what you're doing here. And I imagine this ain't going to be too easy because she looked like pretty hard feet, pretty hard frog. Okay, so once you get this cleaned up, and I'm giving you an example of what you should do on all the feet. We trim the back feet the same way we trim the front feet. Okay, so once you get that all trimmed up, that's going to open this up. You're going to really see where your bar really is. I mean, it might be this, it might be partially that might just be a crack or something there. I think maybe the bar is actually right here. Okay, so then you're going to come in and you're going to remap. This time you're going to, now that you've cleaned this up in here, okay, you're going to come to the back of the heel and you're going to make another line about like this for now. Okay, and then you're going to come in there and you're going to start taking this bar over. You come in with the side and the hook and you find the top of the wall and you just get the very top of the bar wall and you just follow it over. Just a minute. You just start, take that knife up there and you're just going to follow it over. Follow it over. Follow it over. Till you got your bar wall lined up with this line right here. Same thing up here. You're going to come, you're going to slip the edge of the knife under here. Okay? And, well, take your hook. You don't want to gouge the sole though. You're laying your knife flat, but you're going to follow, you're going to start taking this off. Okay? And you're going to follow it over. Just thin slices. Follow it over. Just follow it over till you have a straight line on your bar here. And eventually what you want to try and get, and you're probably not going to be able to do it right away, okay, because you can't, once you move that could be very thin under that sole. I don't know. Anyway, see here, your sole goes around there. That's a minute. Let me undo here. Eventually, also what we do is we like to find, and you can't always do it right away. See that white line? It goes all the way around the foot. Just like that. See, this should all be sole. Shouldn't have this stuff on it and all that. So you're going to start learning to make boundaries. Okay, so yeah, I would do this part first. Okay, so then I'm going to come back here with your mapping again. And you're going to measure out this toe. And you're going to draw a line straight across the foot with your protractor, centering it like I showed you, where the white line, right there where the white line is. So, it looks like you've already trimmed on this foot here. But you would come up here. This is what I call, and this is important for you guys. You have got to draw, maybe if your toes are really super long, you can't just take them back in one whack. But eventually you've got to find a line in the sand and you've got to keep it there. And you'll find that it will shift every so often and you will actually, the whole foot will shift. And you will actually find that your frog apex moves back 1/4 of an inch and that you have to take your toe back an inch. Not an inch, like 1/4 of an inch. Valor has done this to me 3 or 4 times where the whole foot shifted. and moved back, and everything got straighter and stuff like that. So this is your line in the sand that you're going to draw so that that toe starts coming back where it should. Now, one thing that's real important, and this really drove it home to me, because of Valerie, who posts a lot of pictures, and she just got her horse shod, and you know, I didn't want to tell her to take that toe back. I knew it should go back, but I wasn't wanting to tell people that because I get as paranoid as they do about horses getting sore. But then after she got x-rays and after we looked, which we're going to look at that tonight too, I realized, man, you know, because what we did, we had her working on pillars without taking the toe back the way it should. And really what we should have been doing was working on the mapping with the toe and blending the pillars in, and then it all would have come back together gradually rather than just trying to shorten up pillars, which I'll explain more of that later. Okay.
Linda, Jenny's asking, do you just take it back to the white line?
Yes. I take it all the way. In fact, I'm going to show you a video because I'm going to have to go feed my horses, and I'm going to show you a video of a trim I did. But the difference in the trim on my horse is my horse has a lot of sole. Okay, on some of these horses that don't have any sole, you do not want to over thin the wall here. Okay, you'll see it. You'll see it on my horse. He has very thick hoof walls. Now, he didn't at one time. They're very thin. Okay, but once the foot starts coming together, you're going to see your hoof walls really thicken up. Okay, so far, I have gotten you to clean up the frog, map the bars, and clean them up. Okay? We haven't done anything else yet. Now we're coming in here. We're going to mark where the toe should be. Now, actually, this foot looks really good right in here. The wall is a little thin there, and I'm wondering if you're doing a little too much of a Mustang roll, but I'll look at that later. If you do this, what you got going here for now is good. You know, there's no wall here in the toe that's going to be leveraged, but you don't want to over thin the wall so that it takes any support away from the sole either, if the sole is relatively thin, which it probably is. It might be hard, but it's probably pretty thin because of the way the heels are, because the heels, correct heels, have a direct impact on how thick your sole is. Okay, so now I want you to look here. Okay, so there's my frog. I marked it over there on yours. You see where the boundaries of that frog is. Then we come in there again, come into the inside of this heel. You see how the bar wall right there follows that line? Okay, to the inside of the heel here, and you see how my bar wall follows that line. Now let's look over here. Why do we do that? Okay, so that would be about the thickness of the frog. Frog has to grow from the frog corium. Okay, now we're going to come in here. We're going to come to the inside of the heel. Right there. Now, right here is where the bar grows. You can barely see it there. You can see the bar lamina where the bar starts growing down here. It grows up and kind of forward and is attached to this lamina here. And so we come right to the inside of the heel there. You know, I want you to understand why we make these boundaries and why we clear everything up so that everything, a place for everything and everything in its place. See? And it all has to do with this internal foot. And so these feet get all messed up and smooshed up. I mean, like I said, We've seen feet where the bar covered the whole sole. Let me just show you a quick picture of that. Let's see. Just gotta wait for these things to come in. Okay. Right here. Ah, it's really amazing. It's amazing. Let's see, open with. Okay, you see this? This is bar that has covered the whole sole. That's what the foot looked like after trim. Okay, this is before trim. There, can you see what it did there? You can't even see any sole. This is bar that grew up and covered the whole sole of the foot. See that? So you can figure looking at your, but hey, pretty decent frog. Okay, so, and this horse was being trimmed by someone, you know. Okay, so this is the foot after the bar was taken off of the sole. This is Linda Van Elzen's, a horse Linda Van Elzen did. So pretty interesting. Okay. Okay, so this is what you're gonna have to do to all these feet. You're gonna have to clean them up and start getting some boundaries. You have to know that anatomically there are layers. There are layers to the hoof wall. There's the outer stratum, outer layer, which is the hardest. And then as you go in, it gets lighter. See how it's kind of white there? It gets lighter and softer. And then finally you get to the white line. That is where the sole and the wall are dovetailed together. That's what the white line is. That's really yellow. Sometimes it's gray. Sometimes it's black and funky looking like that. Okay. And that, of course, is out here. Say, it would be out here. Yep. It's going to be out. Just so you know. Something like that. Okay. See there? Ah, come on. Eventually, when you get a foot really cleaned up and all the parts in place and everything right, you want to be able to see a white line all the way around like that. Every once in a while, you want to trim that, you want to get a clean white line. Now, on a foot like this, you're probably not going to get that right away. You might have some up in here. You know, actually, it's clear up here. I made that in the wrong spot. You're probably not going to get that right away. But ultimately, that's what we're trying to get and grow into it and get everything anatomically correct, is this clean white line. Okay, that's the sign of a correct foot. Okay. Okay, so we haven't even approached the heels yet. Because before you could even do heels, you're going to have to do all this other stuff. But, you know, so then you'd remap the foot to see if everything's in its place, because you're going to be removing lines and different things like that. And then you would do the heels. Of course, we draw a line from the tip of the heel, once we find it, to the top of the hairline. You know, like yours would be in here. Once you take this bar down, see how thick your periopal skin is here? I'm not sure what's going on here or where the heel is. That just don't look right. But anyway, this is where to start. And then on the mapping, once you get all that done, then you can assess your heels, take some pictures, and post them and ask us what to do there. But for now, because first of all, you don't have any heel, so I can't foresee really having to trim much off, except maybe to kind of level something up here and there. Pretty much for you, you're going to be growing some heel, and what you're going to be doing is you're just going to be starting to make boundaries and get some of this junk off the sole, you know, to clear it up so the foot can start growing correctly. Have I been right? Has anybody been listening to me?
Yep.
Oh, good. I must have just punched that button. Okay, so now I need to ask, do you have any questions? Does anybody have any questions about anything I've said here or any comments they would like to make?
I do.
Okay, who is that?
This is Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
Hey, hi, Linda, and everybody. I think you should give them the little tip about when you draw that line, bisecting the foot into two halves.
Uh-huh.
That goes through the corner. Goes through the central sulcus, the apex, and to the tip of the toe. Tell them to bring that little line up a little bit on the front of the hoof, because they're going to need that to mark that tubule.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think that was really helpful to me.
Okay. And actually, what you want to do when you draw these lines is draw it over the toe. Let me get blue. Okay, here's your foot. See, you've drawn your line this way. Okay, draw it over the center of the toe so that when you see the foot, you're looking down. You can kind of tell if it's, you know, because we also a lot of times will measure the dorsal wall here. And that way you could get right in the center of the toe. Another thing, and this is what I'm going to start doing too, when you draw this line across the apex, continue over the side of the wall up right here. Okay, just so you can see where that comes out. I'm going to start doing that because I would like to know where that comes out, because it's supposed to come out right here. See, that would tell me my apex was in the wrong spot. Which we'll save that for another time. But anyway, this is something I think we should start doing with our mapping automatically. Continue the line around the side of the foot and up on the wall just a hair, so we can kind of eyeball it and see what's going on. Because there's stuff when we look at this view of the foot that we can tell if things are in the general right vicinity. Because as I said, this apex can get stretched forward and stuff. And you can tell if it's stretched forward by eyeballing it on the side of the foot here. Okay.
Linda?
Yeah?
I have a question. When I'm really conscious about keeping the pillars back because my dorsal wall is real short, and I don't want to take the toe back. So that line that we draw across the foot medially to laterally, and that line that we draw at the toe, 1.5 inches from the apex, that area, on each side of the foot, that would be considered the pillars, right? And that's what I would
Yeah.
keep short. And then can you diagram like the terminology of like where the quarters then go from the line from the apex back and then show where the buttress is?
Yeah. Okay, the buttress itself, okay, is right here. Okay, this piece of wall is the buttress, okay? The heel is right where the bars basically end. Okay, this whole area is heel. We include the sole, the bar, the sidewall, all the way up to the hairline, all the way back to the end of the buttress, and all the way up to the end of the bulb. Okay, that's all heel, including what's above the hairline, which is the cartilage. Okay, so this whole area, that is all heel there. If we're looking at the side of the foot, it would be just a minute here. It would be this whole area is heel. Okay, now this here is just heel buttress. This triangular piece of pillar wall here. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so okay, so your heels, this is your heels. All this apparatus here, all these pieces in here, this is all, it has to be a unit and understood. A lot of real busy stuff going on here. Your quarters are right here. This area here. That's the quarter. Okay, the pillar is basically this area here. And the toe is this area here. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for asking that, because that's something we need to really define. And, you know, we had it put in our heads that this little area here was the heels. You know what I mean? But no.
Linda, I have a question.
Okay.
Not the line that is at the apex, but coming back towards your heel, the next line. From there to the back of the heels, is there a specific measurement or like, you know, in abouts measurement that we should be marking to say our heels are back far enough?
Well, no,
Or-
no, because you can't, because there's a lot that goes on here. Like, I know that Molly's heels were not fully restored here and could have come back more this way. So, you know, I don't really think there is a measurement for this area.
Okay. Is there a way to tell that your heels are back far enough?
Yeah, you have to look at the overall whole back of the foot. But I'll tell you what, why don't I explain that when I come back, because I'm just about brain dead.
So, and your
Okay.
horses are hungry.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Louisa, do you have any questions for what you need to start on? You know, learning boundaries, learning how to clean up the bottom of this foot and kind of create some boundaries for these different parts.
She says no questions.
Okay.
Understand everything.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, that looks like a big conglomerate mess there. Okay, well, I'm going to put a video on for you guys of my last. Now, to those of you that have horses with thin sole, what I do to this horse and cleaning up the sole is not necessarily something you would do. After you start getting sole, then you're going to have to maintain sole, and that means you're going to have to trim sole down. Now, sometimes you're going to have to start trimming sole down in the toe anyway, because it tends to get long and it tends to build up sole, and you really have to maintain that or it's going to thwart all your plans. It'll take over. Two things that can take over, the so-called toe callus, okay, which is the convex ridge of sole in the toe, because it's different than anything else. That can take over. You don't want it to. And the bars can take over. If you let either one of those take over, well, toe, bars, frog, you wind up trimming to the distortion and letting them rule the roost. Okay, we do not let the toe callus rule, or the bars, or the frog. We know what you can't see. We know the anatomy of the internal foot, and we're going to make this hoof capsule conform to the inner foot. We're not going to let it conform the inner foot to its distortions. Okay? So, we take control, we rule. All right, so I'm going to put this video on for you. Hold on a second. And then I'm going to take a break and feed my horses. And we will look a little bit more at some of these pictures. And then when I get back, we're going to do Marilyn. We're going to do Dolly. Okay, Marilyn?
Okie dokie.
Okay, dear. Let's see. Always get lost in here. We'll stop share for a second because I got to share, but I want to share computer sound. Okay, now we got to find the video. Here we go. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, Marilyn, let me know right away if you can hear it, okay?
Okay.
And this is, well, it's not telling me how long it is, but it's a whole trim, okay, on this 1 foot, whole map and trim that I did yesterday.
We have sound.
Okay, so we're going to map this foot. It's been 4 weeks since I trimmed him. And let's see here. Out a little bit. Okay. First thing we're going to do, well, actually the first thing you should do is find the true apex of the frog. Can you still hear that? All my knives are in the house. Okay. Because so I'm going to put mine on. I'm just going to go ahead and use this knife I usually don't use. Kind of dig that out and find the true apex. It'll be rounded. Uh-oh. I do believe it's right here. Okay. We're going to mark the center right there and the center right here. We're going to lay our protractor up there and draw a line down the center of the foot so that we can get our line straight. Okay, then from the apex, we're going to go 1.5 inches, which is right here. Measure twice. From the true apex, 1.5 inches, right there. Okay. Then we're going to lay this up here. See how I have drawn a line here on my protractor? Okay, well his foot has shifted and is ready to come back a little bit more from where the white line was, and of course the foot has grown
as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and come back here and line up my lines, because I like to put a line right across here too, just to help me, let me eyeball things when I'm trimming. These lines help you get things straight. Now we're going to come back 1.5 inches right to about here and draw another line just to help us see straight, basically. Okay, now I'm going to map the frog, which the frog is pretty good, pretty straight there, so I don't really have to do anything. Now we're going to map the bar. We're going to put a dot right here. We're going to put this up against here, and just see, my bars are pretty good right there. Don't really need much trimmed. Right here, up against the heel, if you got some heel. You may not have any heel yet. And right there, now we're going to map the heels, which this is what you do. You draw a line down here, straight up to the hairline. Line here, hold still, right up to the hairline. Right there. Now, well, it might get kind of blurry here now that the sun's coming up. And we're going to see where our 2 inches are. First, we're going to, from the bottom of the periopal, I have about almost 1.5 inches. But from the periopal where the hairline starts and I roll it out, I have 2 1/4 inches right there. So I'm going to mark it at 2. That's right where my line went right there. You could be 1 3/4. You could be way short and you're just growing your heels. Okay, right there. Quit, hold still. Quit. At 2 inches, right there. And that's interesting that it come right to where my bar line was, right there. So I'll be doing my heels right here and right here. Okay. Now, my bars really don't need trimmed yet, but I might take them down just a hair anyway. I haven't got my regular knives out here. They're in the house, and I don't want to turn the video off and go out and go in and get them. So we'll just use these knives I never use to kind of trim up the bars a little bit. Let's see, I have another knife in here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Left-handed, right-handed diamond knives. Okay, give me your foot. Now, I'm gonna go clear up in here and get this edge in here. See, I'm gonna sit over here so that I can shade the foot so that you can see what I'm doing. Coming right up in on the bar, clear up into the corner there, so that the heel can still move back. Okay, let's go ahead and clean this up a little. Quick. Kind of just take some of this out here. Let's see if we can find a clean white line. Now, I've got a lot of sole. You may not have any, so you may not quite be doing what I'm doing here. Oops, I think I got a little deep there. Let's thin it down. See, I've got a lot of sole. You've got to learn to manage your sole. I kind of got a little too deep there. Too big a chunk. But I did want to take off a little bit more of that. Get right up there into the wall. Now, I don't like a ledge there, so I'll round that off. Take this just a little bit right here. Okay, now I can see how much wall I have here. Just a minute here. There we go. Okay, now I'll rasp. We want to put his foot down pretty bad there. My stupid leg out of the way there. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and mark the toe again so you can see what I do on the toe. Come here. Come here. Okay, so from the apex, 1.5 inches, which is right here. See, when I trimmed out that sole like that, and you see I have about 1/4 of an inch of wall here. It trimmed the sole down right to that 1 1/4 inch mark there. Okay, so now again we line this up here, and this up with the center of the toe, right here. And we're going to draw a line right across the top of that, clear over to there. See there? Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking the wall just down about to the sole. Oh man, this... Never pull back like this on your heel. You want to come in here like this on your heel. I'm going to go almost to the level of sole. Ho ho. Ho ho, quit. Now I'm making sure that my rasp doesn't hit over here on the other side. Oh gosh, son, go away. I'm keeping an eye on where I've marked my heel here. I'd like you to notice how wide my walls are. Quick. Okay, that's about level. We're gonna get this level down here. Sometimes you can't get it level. Okay. There you go. See that? Here's the right line right there. Okay. Now I'm going to draw my line again because I'm going to show you how I take my toe back to the white line, and I kind of want this kind of, I hate to say roll, but from the white line through the wall in here, I just kind of want it to roll around like that. So there's no, see the wall here, lots of leverage there. This should roll as one unit around the toe there. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to line up there, do that again, see there? Now look at here, I'm going to want to blend this in as I'm coming around here. See, this is the pigmented part of the wall you're seeing here. And then you have the inner part. See the white wall there, this pigmented wall here. Harder, that's the hardest part of the hoof wall. Okay, uh-oh. There we go. Okay, set your foot down for a second. It is very important that you get this toe right and that you learn how to manage the sole in this toe. That you don't let it just build up and become a big heavy duty callus, because it all has to keep moving until your foot is just right. And even then, you have to renew it so it keeps growing. You don't want anything to become hard and stagnant and petrified on this foot. You want everything to keep moving. Okay, so here's what we're going to do to the toe. Now watch what I do. Now look, see how my rasp was angled? Just kind of straight from my shoulder, straight across. I'm taking it all the way across. See how I go all the way over? There we go. Now, take this side a little more. Now see how I'm blending in my side there? But I still have wall next to my sole. I'm just taking off now the harder outer tubules. Okay. Oh. Okay, give it here. 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 Okay, now I want to thin down this wall here. This helps you get your pillars back. Quit. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that downwards. Okay. Now, I don't want any sharp edges, so then you're going to come up here and you're going to get this sharp edge off here and blend it in to the sides of the wall. Really want to blend that pillar in there, do you? And especially here, because that's where they can, gosh, you're getting heavy. That's where they can cut themselves if they step on their foot. So you don't want that sharp. Give it here. Come on. Turn this around. I want this rounded. And then I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel it for a sharp edge. There we go. And that's pretty much it. You know, I'll finish it off and kind of make sure I don't have no sharp edges. Make sure there's not really a lever right here. Quit. There. I don't want a big wedge of sole above the wall either right there. So I'll probably thin that down just a little bit more. Okay, and from up here it looks pretty darn good. So, once their feet get right, this gets pretty easy. You know, that was a pretty easy trim. Not a lot of correction. Didn't have to take the bar down to do any real correction there. Let's see. I want to make sure this is clean. Well, that looks pretty good. Now, see, usually I take my grinder and I'll just, you know, give a touch on this here. He's got a lot of sole in that foot there. Okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to trim the frog this time. Let's take a look at it. Do I need to? Is it sticking above the wall? Let's see. Here's how you want to test that. Nope. Okay, right there a little bit, but you know what? The foot lays like this, see? So it's really not touching much there. I could take a little, thin that down a little bit. Let's see here. Use a knife. Might be good to use for that. Give it here, give it here. Ah. Quit. Getting heavy-footed. Yeah, we did need to take that out because it's getting full and it's gonna be laying over into the bar and pushing it out. Yeah. There we go. Quit being so heavy-footed. Cripes. You know? Give it here. You got 3 other ones to stand on. Quit being so heavy-footed. Quit. Ah. Okay, so I'm gonna Oh man, that is a nice frog. That looks pretty good. Kind of make a little bit of a central sulcus there. The rest looks pretty darn good. Quit. Okay, that looks pretty good. Put that over there. Okay. Grapes. Oh. All right. That's it. Okay, so we're gonna map this foot. It's been 4 weeks since I trimmed him, and let's see here. Out a little bit. Okay. First thing we're gonna do, well, actually, the first thing you should do is find the true apex of the frog. All my knives are in the house, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use this knife I usually don't use. Kind of dig that out and find the true apex. It'll be rounded. Uh-oh. I do believe it's right here. Okay, we're going to mark the center right there and the center right here. We're going to lay our protractor up there and draw a line down the center of the foot so that we can get our line straight. Okay, then from the apex, we're going to go 1.5 inches, which is right here. Measure twice. From the true apex, 1.5 inches, right there. Okay. Then we're going to lay this up here. See how I have drawn a line here on my protractor? Okay, well his foot has shifted and is ready to come back a little bit more from where the white line was, and of course the foot has grown as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and come back here and line up my lines, because I like to put a line right across here too, just to help me eyeball things when I'm trimming. These lines help you get things straight. Now we're going to come back 1.5 inches right to about here and draw another line just to help us see straight, basically. Okay, now I'm going to map the frog, which the frog is pretty good, pretty straight there, so I don't really have to do anything. Now we're going to map the bar. We're going to put a dot right here. We're going to put this up against here, and just see, my bars are pretty good right there. Don't really need much trimmed. Right here, up against the heel, if you got some heel. You may not have any heel yet. And right there. Now we're going to map the heels, which this is what you do. You draw a line down here, straight up to the hairline. Line here, up, hold still, right up to the hairline. Right there. Now, well, it might get kind of blurry here now that the sun's coming up. And we're going to see where our 2 inches are. First, we're going to, from the bottom of the periopal, I have about almost an inch and a half. But from the periopal where the hairline starts, and I roll it out, I have 2 1/4 inches right there. So I'm going to mark it at 2. That's right where my line went right there. You could be 1 3/4. You could be way short and you're just growing your heels. Okay, right there. Quit, hold still. Quit. At 2 inches right there. And that's interesting that it come right to where my bar line was right there. So I'll be doing my heels right here and right here. Okay. Now, my bars really don't need trimmed yet, but I might take them down just a hair anyway. I haven't got my regular knives out here. They're in the house, and I don't want to turn the video off and go out and go in and get them. So we'll just use these knives I never use to kind of trim up the bars a little bit. Let's see. I have another knife in here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Left-handed, right-handed diamond knives. Okay, give me your foot. Now, I'm gonna go clear up in here and get this edge in here. See, I'm gonna sit over here so that I can shade the foot so that you can see what I'm doing. Coming right up in on the bar, clear up into the corner there so that the heel can still move back.
So I don't think it hurts to watch this twice, do you?
Never too many times. It's never too many to watch it. Over and over. It's good.
You know, what you can do is you can sit there and you can watch this and then in your head and use your hands and pretend you're trimming. You know?
Okay, let's go ahead and
you understand what I'm
clean
saying?
this up a little.
You know, just kind of get your mind into it and pretend you're there trimming the horse.
Quick.
See, real important to get them bars. Learn to get them bars. Learn not to gouge the
Take some
sole.
of this out here.
Learn to find,
See if
you know,
we can
on
find a
horse
clean white line.
with very thin sole. On a horse with real thin sole, you wouldn't manage the sole quite like I've done here, but he's got 3/4 of an inch to an inch of sole. And so that sole in the toe right there, it'll just keep growing and growing. And what's more, we're going to look at Valerie's horse, and you're going to see why you need to deal with that sole that grows in the toe, because it's just a little different than anywhere else. And you know how they always told us, oh, don't touch the toe callus. Well, no, just the opposite, because that, I'm going to show you on Valor how it was clear back in 2009 where I got x-rays on him just to see where the toe was. And that's when I found out that his toe was way too long. And I was doing a basic mapping similar to this that Gene Ovanek does on the ELPO, equine lameness prevention deal, you know, natural balance, shoeing, all that. But what they did not take into account is that your apex of your frog can stretch quite a bit forward. And, or maybe they did and I just didn't notice it. But anyway, my apex of the frog had stretched pretty far forward. And so I was measuring from a stretch forward apex to the end of the toe, and my toe was too long. And see, that sole ridge, like what I'm trimming there, okay, that can grow an inch further ahead on your foot. And what I'm going to show you is, and that's how you get those ski tips. Okay, well, anyway, I'm going to stop this. We're going to do Marilyn Aho's horse. We're going to go to the forum. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions or comments as I'm going there?
Yes, Linda.
Okay.
It's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
A gal was on here a few minutes ago in our chat, and she had some questions. It's not related to the bottom of the foot, but in some of your older YouTube videos, you talked a lot about some of the barefoot trimmers. I don't know who the pros are. They would advocate taking flares off from the outside of the foot. So she had a question about flaring, and
Okay.
you did some videos about avoiding taking hoof wall from the outside of the wall,
Yeah, higher up on the wall.
right? And that it doesn't eliminate the flares.
No, it just makes it look unflared.
Right.
And it weakens the wall. And that's farriers that do that. Okay, somebody's making a lot of noise there. That's farriers that do that. Just a minute. And it's called dressing down the wall and stuff, where they take and they dress it down and smooth it down and make it look like it's not flared. And they'll tell you, well, that gets rid of flares. Well, no, it doesn't. It weakens the wall. And then this is a thin shell, and the wall is softer as you go in. And so then you got a 1,200-pound horse condensed down into a little foot, however many thousands of pounds that multiplies it to. You know, it's like when a woman is on a high heel, that little high heel, the amount of pressure and pounds on that little heel is like tremendous. Same thing for a horse, you know, that big horse all condensed down into that little foot, you know, in that capsule. It's a lot of pressure internally pushing out. So when you mess with that hoof wall, you take off the harder part, expose the softer part, and then you start getting these bulges. And so they'll come in there every time and then rasp it all down, make it look like it's not flared, but you truly have internal damage. Did that answer any of the question?
Yeah, it was me who asked that question. And so how do you address the flares? I understand it's from the bottom, and it's probably going to be a deal with bringing the bar in and the heel buttress to the appropriate angles, because I'm not making any progress by dressing the flares from the outside.
Oh, yeah.
So I know there's got to be another answer.
Yeah, and see, I did that too. See, that's one thing that got me really wondering. Okay, I'm a trimmer, and my horse has terrible flares. Why is that? You know, and that's when I was doing trimming from the top and dressing down the flare from the top. But see, I was trimming the heels out too. And what happens is, as you trim the heel buttress out, the foot gets weaker, and the heel starts pushing in, and then it pushes the wall out, which it looks like a flare, but it's not really a flare. It's a bulge in the wall due to the heel pushing forward. Well, then you think it's a flare. So then you rasp it down, which makes it weaker and makes it push out more. So you get these feet that are what you call asymmetrical, meaning they're really wide on one side and narrower on the other, you know. And so, yeah, you get into a vicious circle. So, you know, all flares, things that we call flares, aren't necessarily the same. Technically, a flare is where, like, say the toe wall gets long, and then it starts to pull away from the sole, the white line is stretched, and the wall is dished in the front. You know, that's different than if your heel gets weak and gets pulled down and pushed forward and pushes the wall in the side out. See, to fix that, you're going to have to start correcting the heel, growing the heel. And there's some things I can show you too that will help that I started doing with flares. I'll show you that here. Let's just go ahead and show you that real quick.
Could also, when we're having a look at Dolly's feet, have a look at the way her pillar flared right out so quickly within a few days and back in again.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll tell you what, before I show you the thing on the flares, okay, we'll do that after I do Dolly, because I told Marilyn I'd do her next, okay? I'll show you how to deal with the bulge where the wall is pushed out in the side of the hoof. I'll show you what's been going on with my horse, because see, I had this in all 4 feet to one degree or the other. And I've really been able to help it and correct it. And I'll show you how I deal with flares structurally where you don't weaken the wall. But you're still able to grow them out or pull them in or whatever you need to do. Okay, but for right now, we're gonna go look at Dolly. So here we are. And we'll go through these pictures again too. But for tonight, we're gonna leave you where you're at on this horse here. I think we've given her something to work on. Okay, now Marilyn Aho, I will tell you, is a classic in a case study. Now, for you new people, what you need to know is you're not necessarily going to get a lot of information and help on the forum. What the forum is for is to register you, and so that you can clean your horse's feet, you can do pictures, because doing the pictures is a part of learning the structure and anatomy of the foot and starting to see how your horse's feet really are and how you are trimming if you've trimmed before. Just the pictures alone will start to teach you things. Okay, and so what you're doing, you're part of an experiment. Yeah, I hate to tell you this, but yes, you are in an experiment here. We're going places where people have not gone before. People didn't even know they were trimming the heels out of their horse. So now we find that out. Now we're restoring the foot, learning the truth about the foot. And so this is something that people really haven't done before. So it is one big experiment, and you are in a big experiment. And what you're doing, the experiment that you're in, is that if you have never trimmed before, okay, you're going to see if you can learn to trim over the internet. Without, you know what, best of the best of the best would be if you could go somewhere and have somebody show you hands-on, all that stuff. But unfortunately, it's just really not available. I mean, if you can go somewhere and have someone show you how to use tools and the rasp and, you know, do a basic farrier pasture trim minus the dressing down of the wall, you know, then you're going to be ahead of the game just to learn to do a basic trim. Then you can incorporate tack in. But what's happened is a lot of people have had farriers and trimmers doing their horses, and now they're starting to wake up and see that things just are not right. And so they're having to take this on themselves. Like Marilyn Aho here. Marilyn, would you have preferred, in some sense, to just, if you could have hired a trimmer or a farrier that would have known what the heck they were doing to take care of this for you?
In a heartbeat.
There we go. But there's nobody like that, is there?
No.
You know, so Marilyn is, how old are you now, Marilyn?
73.
Okay, she's 73, and she just started learning to trim last year.
In September.
In September. And this was out of self-defense. And so that's what a lot of us started doing. In fact, that's even why many of the people in the barefoot movement started. To learn barefoot and natural hoof care was out of self-defense from what their farriers were doing to the horses. Well, now we've found after 20 years that they chose the wrong model foot for the barefoot industry standard, a wild horse that had worn its heels out. You know, then they got a German vet to sanction and say, yeah, that's it. And off it went. You know, natural hoof care all over the world and trimming the heels out of every horse it touched practically. And so many horses will not put up with that. And so then we find that we're dealing with the same thing in the natural hoof care barefoot trimming movement. And so now out of self-defense, we're even coming out of that to learn the true anatomy of the foot and how to restore the whole back of the foot to the horse. And what you need to know is that you're not just restoring a hoof capsule. You are just not restoring heels, because when the heels are trimmed out, it distorts and deforms the internal back of that foot. It distorts the cartilage up above the hairline. See, things like that. So anyway, so when you come into TACT, when you sign up on this forum, this is where you're going to keep track of you and of your horse. And you know, I wish there were more of us that were mentors that had time to just you know, just personally, you know, just take somebody by the hand and just help them. But if you want help, you're going to have to fight for it. You know, you're going to have to get in there. You're going to have to get into Facebook. You're going to have to watch videos. Everything ain't perfect in this deal. You know, I started this class and I was using another program. And so the first 7, 8 videos I did were so crappy and I didn't even know it. Nobody told me. You know, nobody said, hey, those videos you got on there, they're really bad sound. You can't hardly understand you, blah, blah, blah. So here I was having people sign up and then saying, okay, go watch those videos. See you later. You know, and then I happened to listen to one. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, these are horrible. So now I'm going to have to do something to, I think I'm going to run another class and record it better here in another month or two, and just try and do the whole thing over. So when you come here, okay, you're a case study. You yourself learning to trim out of desperation are a case study, and can you do it? You know, and the second case study is whatever horse you pick, you know, to try and help. You know, all I can tell you is that this is how I started. You know, I had a farrier that wasn't doing my horse right. And so that's how I got into natural hoof care and barefoot trimming on the internet, reading directions. Now I've been around horses all my life, already had all the tools because my husband had shod horses when we were working on ranches. You know, so I had an idea about how that RAS was used, and he showed me a few things. Of course, didn't want to listen. Because you never want to listen to them, you know, they don't know what they're doing. And so anyways, but I had the tools, and I had a hoof stand because we had all that. Okay, but I had never trimmed a horse, and so I studied for 2 weeks, and then I took the directions out, and I would read and do. You know, and it took me like, I don't know, 4 hours to do 1 foot or something like that, you know. And I really came to understand my husband, because way back when we were working on ranches and I had this horse, you know, he's kind of a ranch horse, barrel horse, dream thing, you know, that never came to fruition. But anyway, you know, I didn't know how to trim or anything like that, but I kind of had an idea in my head of what I thought I wanted and liked, you know. And so he'd be under the horse and I'd say, well, couldn't you just do a little bit of this and that? And he would get so mad at me. You know, I won't say what he said, you know, but he said, when you can get under this blankety blank, 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 then you can tell me what to do, you know. Well, I'm going to tell you what, I really understand where he's coming from now, you know, because this is hard. It's hard, but it's very rewarding, you know, and people get addicted to it. And I don't know. But anyway, so I just want you to know that this isn't a deal where you're just gonna, you know, you're gonna sign up, you're gonna put your stuff on here, and then we're gonna be jumping in there to give you a hoof evaluation and all kinds of replies. Because see, I work full time. Okay, I have a job. Then I do these. Then I'm still researching. Then I'm trying to keep my own horses done. Then I'm trying to answer a person here and there. So what we always tell people is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And the squeakiest wheel I know, 2 squeakiest wheels I know are Marilyn Aho here and Valerie. I can't. Okay, those are the 2 squeakiest wheels I know. And stuff, and they are adamant about they're going to get help for their horse no matter what. They're going to learn this no matter what. And so what I want you to know here is we're looking at Marilyn's page here. She is meticulous with pictures, with clean feet, with continuing to ask. And I mean, look at this measurements.
It's called OCD perfectionist.
There you go. Okay.
This is Melina. I just want to jump in really quickly and I'm really new to all of this, but I see how much time everybody spends and maybe this isn't politically correct, but I think that it's important to at least make some kind of effort to compensate. And I know that there was talk about, you know, like a little fee of $25 or something like that. And I just think that if folks can afford it, to offer that, it seems to me to be the right thing to do. I just wanted to give my 2 cents about that. Maybe I'm new, so I don't know all.
Thank you.
Background, so.
Thank you. No, that's good. See, what I started, and it hasn't really. The site has not really taken off yet because we haven't had time to work on it, which that is another thing. We need to have a meeting and get some committees to work on different parts because, man, I just cannot do it all. And that is a hoof association, you know, and it's only like $20 a year. And then you'll have access to whatever we put on there if we ever get anything on there. Okay. Right now, I'll show everybody that at a different time. Maybe we're going to look at that next Hoof Chat, and I'm going to start getting some committees together to work on different aspects, some volunteers. Okay, but thank you very much. And no, that is not at all politically incorrect. In fact, from where I come from, that's very politically correct, you know, and stuff to be givers on both sides. If people want to make a small donation or something like that, or a big giant one, that's fine with me.
PayPal works real well.
It does. You know, many of you have been very generous and you know, I want to tell you I appreciate y'all. Okay. All right. So here we're looking at Marilyn's horse, Dolly. And I just want you to see, it says, armed with the info from last week's Hoof Chat. Thank you, Linda J. Harris. I beveled Dolly's front feet a bit more. She's been doing so well. I hope she isn't going to be sore with as much as I beveled. Although
this one's from February.
Oh, this ain't the right one?
Oh, no, go to page 5.
Oh, cripes. Well, I mean, y'all see. This is absolutely amazing. Okay.
Oh, page 6 maybe.
6, holy Hannah.
Page 5 has the
page 5 has last week.
Okay. Is this today?
Yes.
Okay.
Page 5 will have last week, and that was the biggest change that Mary had seen.
Okay, let's look at 5. Okay. I'm going to read this.
Keep going a little bit more, the next one.
Oh, okay. April
In the left
22nd,
front, it is.
April, May, June. I better go down to the bottom. Holy Hannah.
Yeah, right down near the bottom.
Okay.
That's a hind feet.
That's a hind feet. Okay, to scoop or not to scoop? That is a question. Yes, that was last week's hoof chat. And with that in mind, I took a full set of pics of Dolly's feet this afternoon. It's been 4 weeks since her fronts were trimmed and 10 days since her hinds were done. I've been reading the recent posts about scoops and don't quite understand if I should continue putting a little scoop or not. Some of the scoops have nearly flattened and others not so much. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if the scoop has flattened, it means the scoop was needed. If the scoop remains, that makes sense to me, then I should leave the foot more level. Okay. Her front soles still seem thin and give a little to thumb pressure. Yeah, and they will till more heel is developed and more of these horn tubules get back.
Right.
Okay.
The other thing that I've found with the scooping, and with Marilyn in particular, is when she's leaving the pillars too long, the scoop won't come out even when it could, if the pillars hadn't been long.
Yeah,
the pillars are a bugaboo.
They are. She's got some real issues on her pillars. We're going to look at Valor's pillars, and maybe that's. Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to wait till I look at the foot. So it says her front soles still seem thin, give a little to thumb pressure in the area around the apex. Yeah. She continues to be fairly tender on rough footing, but otherwise okay. Yeah, well, that just seems logical considering where her foot is at.
Right.
I am wondering if I need to let her grow more hoof like I did in January, since she wasn't sore at all after the February trim, although her feet seemed too long.
And looking back at the pictures, they were too long.
Ah, yeah, they were too long.
That was the pictures that you had up in the beginning, and yeah, they were too long.
Okay. Okay, now this is from last time, so we're just going to look through them. I'm not going to say too much. I'm just going to kind of study them. Now, one thing I do see is that the periopal is starting to get a healthier look to it. Yeah, see, I think we need to do something to deal with these pillars. Now, did you ever get x-rays on this, Mare?
X-rays were a year ago when she had laminitis.
Okay, are they on here somewhere?
No, they're just regular film X-rays if that has them.
Okay, can you get them from him?
I can try.
Can you go take a picture of them or something?
I can try.
Okay, why don't you do that? Because I would really like to see what's going on with the toe of her coffin bone.
Okay.
Okay, because it might be that you might have to put a groove here to get this to keep from dishing. Because if she has a ski tip, okay, then the wall will want to dish out like this.
Okay.
Now, Valor had a ski tip. Okay, but this is the great thing about the coffin bone. It's a different kind of bone and it will move. Okay, so if you have a ski tip and you put a groove in these horn tubules so that the one coming down don't want to dish out and follow the ones below them, then the wall will grow down straighter and push all this back.
Okay.
Okay. Because I see this, I just see this as a problem here. Okay, now the good thing here is the fact that her heels do have the frog corium up off the ground, and so that's going to give it time to do some healing and grow some frog. This is medial, left front medial. This is left front. Lateral.
That's the very long wall she left there.
I'm sorry, I couldn't, you were really cutting out there.
I said that's the long wall that she left there, and then a couple of days later you see it, and that sole is a lot wider and pulled right out.
It pulled her sole out?
I tweaked on that on June 12th, 13th.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's the thing too. When you have this going on, you see the width of the wall over here? You need to make this at least the same width.
Right, and I did that on the 13th.
Okay. This is the left hind.
And I just mapped the left hind or the hind feet today. I plan to trim tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, you're still kind of waiting on some frog stay and a little bit more and some frog.
Uh-huh.
Have you been thinning down this?
Yeah, I've been cleaning it out better.
Okay, because that's going to hold that there too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Just keeping this periopal cleaner and keeping these bars over is gonna help a lot.
The other thing with Dolly's feet is they grow so quickly. I sort of tend to think that if possible, that they need to be trimmed a little bit more often than what they have been. But I know it's difficult with when she's not living at home.
But I'll tell you, they look just like Valor's did a year and a half ago. You know, he just didn't have anything in these back feet, and the frog was, you know, smashed up like that. You know, yeah, you can trim this frog over a little bit here.
Yeah, I did that today.
Okay. Yeah, we're looking at, so we should probably go to those other. Now, there's going to be some point where you're going to have to come in here and take this little bit of sole out of the toe.
Yep, did that today too.
Okay.
When did Marilyn start trimming this horse?
My first trim was September 3rd, I think.
I mean, I think she's come a long way. And
oh, man, yeah.
I think that, you know, she has to be a little patient maybe.
Oh,
but I want it yesterday.
Want it yesterday. It looks like maybe you might be starting to get a different quality of hoof wall going here. That's the thing too. Oh yeah, you are. See there?
Mm-hmm.
See, just a little bit different quality than what you got here. This is common for when the heels are trimmed out because it puts pressure on the lamina. Because these are at too low of an angle because of the low heel. So, you know, all this is going to grow up. Let me look at that toe. Now, I didn't watch that full video. Did you watch the way I did that toe when I was rasping that toe?
Mm-hmm.
See, instead of just looking at these feet and going like, wow, those pillars are long, I got to work on that. Here's the deal. If you continue to bring the toe back correct, Okay, then you got to blend those pillars in, and it's going to bring them back naturally a little bit more every time. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Doing that toe, getting that toe right is really important, and then blending those sides in. And where am I? Okay, managing the sole in the toe. Otherwise, because what? Look at. Let me do a annotate here. Okay, so here's the horn tubule. Now I forgot what I was going to show you. Okay, these have to be at a different angle. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep this toe back, because like with Valor, his foot has shifted. Well, now I'm pretty sure it's 4 times, because in that video I just did, his foot shifted another 1/4 of an inch. Okay, because usually if I don't trim him for just that long, I don't move that white line. It stays right where it's at. And so does the apex. But the apex moved, and the white line moved back a 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so because, see, this toe here, okay, eventually it's going to come back to here. Okay, now the wall thickness is right there. And so your white line really is right here. See, this whole foot will shift, and that's why it's really important to bring that toe back every single time into the white line.
Uh-huh.
Let's see.
I'm finally understanding that.
Okay. Let's see. How do I undo that? There. So you keep this back, and then on occasion, you know, you're gonna want to bevel this over to the white line as well. You know, on those days, maybe you could just keep some of the sole in the toe a little bit, or the wall, and, well, maybe not. You know, I kind of go back and forth. Should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? See, because you're wanting these to come back, you're wanting that. This whole foot will shift to where everything's more upright. This back here is going to raise.
Because that scoop hasn't dropped down, this is where she needs to concentrate on the toe, I think, to bring the toe back. And when that hits the ground, then she might think about taking that area, the quarter area, into the white line again.
Okay.
Through the white line.
Yeah, I think the toe too. You know, let's see here.
The toe and pillars.
Yeah, I posted pictures from today too.
Okay.
I did mapping in bars and frogs and all that stuff today.
Okay. See, these back feet look so much like Ballard's did, except for the toe. I was pretty good at keeping the toes back, you know. But as you bring that toe back correct, okay, then you're going to have to blend this pillar in. That automatically is going to deal with that pillar some.
Mm-hmm.
See? And it deals with it every time. Okay, so see, when I look at this foot, what concerns me is this, but I don't know if that is hoof wall jamming or if it's hoof binding. I'm not sure at this point. What I do know is that the wall should not be like this. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that wall should be straight down, like so. So I'm pretty sure you probably got a ski tip in there, and you're going to have to put a groove in here and make sure you get your breakover back and let this wall grow down straight.
Take a look at the pictures from the 12th and 13th and compare them.
Okay.
Maybe in the next set.
This is 12th.
And then,
Are these accessible to us to see the case study as you start? Are we able to go into the forum and see that progress?
Yeah.
if you're on the forum, yeah.
Okay, so is this that foot? Is this the same foot?
Yes, if you go to the first pic, it'll show you how it flared right out, how the sole flared out.
Okay, why didn't somebody tell me that I was a month behind?
Oh, only 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, but with you, that's a lot.
Well, yeah, that's
That
true.
could be 10 sets of pictures.
And the pictures from the day before on the 12th, I think it was the 12th and then the 13th, there was a change just
Well,
in
this looks
a few
quite
days.
different here
Uh-huh.
than that. This is looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
this
just
is looking,
go back to the thumbnails again, Linda, and
Okay.
you can actually see them. They're big enough to nearly see. So that first photo up the top here,
yeah.
that one,
right
that's
here.
really flared. And there's another one just down here a little bit further. And that's after she's,
Here?
this one here, pointing to it, yeah, here.
Oh,
See how the
wow.
heel has come forward?
Yeah.
But the sole has come in, but the heel has come forward because of leaving the pillar too long there.
Huh.
And this is just over a couple of days.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Right here,
Yeah.
let's see, 613, 612. Isn't it
That's
amazing
Sundays.
how these feet can just change like that?
It's
Yeah.
Well,
scary.
this one's better, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I thought
I
so.
think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's amazing. So you came on the 12th and you did this bevel,
I
right?
came on the 12th and looked at the heels. There were some, it was rolled over enough and then it kind of chipped out. That's the circled areas.
Uh-huh.
Then Mary had commented on beveling or doing something with it, and I went out the next day and did it. I'll tell you in a minute what I did. I went out and I brought the heels down to 5 millimeters and
On the seat of corn.
What's that in
the,
inches?
and 5/8 on the
5 millimeters from the seat of corn.
yeah, 5 millimeters on the seat of corn and 5/8 from the collateral groove and 1 inch and 5/8 from the hairline. Brought the
Okay.
lateral pillar down a little bit, brought the quarters in a little bit, and brought the heels down to the 5 millimeters.
Okay.
And that's what it did.
Wow. Well, obviously, that really sucked that in, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and look at the sole. Look at the sole, how it kind of made a little bulge there
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah, it's
sole.
like it's buckled.
See, now,
I took another set of pictures today, too.
okay. See, it's interesting. It's just like in the toe, a lot of times when you shorten the toe up and then you come out, you'll find this bulge in the sole.
It's there.
You know, what do they call that?
Callus, the toe callus.
Yeah, but there's something else.
Oh,
That thing we don't believe in.
Oh, yeah, the sunken soul or something.
concavity.
No, that too.
No, it's a, when they say the soul pulls back. Retracted soul.
Retracted sole. Well, technically it is retracted because the wall came in and pushed the sole back. So that goes to show you how pliable these soles are. You know? So
you can see too.
It's not retracted like what they're thinking, that it's sucked
No.
up into the bottom of the foot. It's the walls came in and it just pulled that sole in with it. You know, when the sole is stretched out here and then you relieve the wall and so the wall gets pulled in like that, well, that stretched out sole comes in like that.
And the interesting thing is that now her sole is practically level with the wall. I mean, she wears boots when we're riding and everything, and it's just like the whole bottom of her foot is flat.
Huh.
You can see that on the
But
picture.
you have a look at the apex too, like where you can see where you trimmed it across, but now there's a tip on the apex where it wasn't there when you first cut it out, sort of thing, because it's all. And I wondered before how long your apex to toe was,
Oh, well, look
But it
here.
almost looks like where that thing is, the true apex is.
Huh. Well,
Is that the same foot? Because
yeah.
this foot looks rounder.
One day later. See, here, let's put it in a.
See the difference in the heels? The heels are almost level.
I know,
Or even
right?
the lateral one might be slightly down, but then when you look at the other heel, the lateral one is really pushed forward again. And I wonder whether it might, because you've brought the pillar back in, it's all moved back, and now that heel is a bit high and was crushed forward again because it's higher than the other one because that whole side moved back, if you know what I mean. But it's in the pillar moved back.
This is just.
I don't know, I'm only guessing.
I don't
Well,
know
that
either.
makes-
Which one's the newer one? This one's the older one?
That's the old one. This is the new one.
24 hours apart.
All of one day.
See,
Yeah.
and was it Amanda? Amanda posted those pictures of how much her heels changed in like one trim or something like that, where they were pulled way under, and everybody's going, oh, I don't know, but it can happen.
And then you have today's pictures thrown in there too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll compare this. Just a minute. Resize. Let me make that just a little smaller, so it's the same. Okay. 90.
That's a day difference, huh? 24 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot different. Look at the frog is even more narrow. Or you must trimmed some of the side of the frog off, did you?
I might have trimmed some more of the frog the next day too. I don't remember.
Okay.
But
Too many
mostly
days
she did
ago.
the pillars, right? What did you do again, Marilyn? You mostly did the pillars, right?
I brought the pillars in and down, the lateral pillar in and down a little bit, lowered the heels a little bit, brought the quarters in a little bit.
Wow. Didn't even touch the toe, right?
I didn't touch the toe. Just you can see on the lateral side, the white part is the part that I touched with a rasp.
Yeah, I
And
see
then
it.
heels.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can see kind of what you did here. See there?
Yeah.
She didn't do anything real drastic, but usually she doesn't do this much bevel.
Well, I have been now. That's standard operating procedure.
Those results. Wow.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because I like this kind of a bevel because it's still keeping a lot of hard hoof wall as low as possible, but giving a lot of room right here for stuff to move. And look at the horn tubules have changed too.
When you measure those tubulas now, do you go from the coronary band all the way down to the ground, or do you go to the end of the outer wall?
I go to the ground because if I don't have the bevel even on each side, it's going to be different. So I go to the ground because I figure that's the same. Actually, it goes to the board that she's standing on because I have a little board that I put the foot on.
This is
dirt floor
looking
otherwise.
really good. And the thing about it is that she has a little more soul now.
Not much.
Okay. And what'd you say?
Not much.
Not much though?
She's still pretty sore.
Well, it's growing better now though because the sole tubules are facing at a much better angle.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to grow down rather than being pulled forward.
Yeah, you're gonna start getting more soul now. See, I mean, look at the. Wait a minute, Eric.
If you keep trimming that way.
From the underside, is there some hoof wall left, or did they take the hoof wall all the way down to the sole?
I brought the wall pretty close to the sole.
See, that is way better than what you did have. No, see, you had this number going on,
Yep.
and now this is back. So that's great. now this is really going to start shaping up, I'm telling you.
Now you got to look at today's pictures and see if it's still good or if it's going back the other way.
Okay, just a minute.
In that picture, she has no sole either. Or it looks very thin.
She has very thin soles in her front.
Yeah, but it'll start. See, when you have, and Mary Carol was just talking about this too. When you have horn tubules that are like this, you can't get sole. If you don't have heel, now you're getting heel, so you've got some heel here starting. But if you have horn tubules like this, you can't get sole because it's taken. This is supposed to be right here. This joins up with the sole right here, and then they travel to ground, and then the sole can grow its optimum length. But when this is up here, then your sole tubules are like this.
Right.
So as this comes back, then your sole tubule, which was like this, can go like that and be thicker.
Right.
Okay.
Marilyn, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you sure are.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
So I reckon I've learnt nearly the most off Dolly. When you call her, I've learnt a hell of a lot off Dolly and the way you've been trimming her feet, because she reacts so quickly to every trim.
She does.
And you see the difference really, really quickly. Whereas some horses don't seem to react quite so quickly, and it's possibly because she has thin soles, and the thicker the sole, the harder it is for everything to move.
That could be.
Betting.
To go back up here and get a picture of that foot again, wherever we were.
Which one are you looking for?
Oh, that one where it was way far forward. Was that the left front?
The way far forward was in February.
What? Where?
Or the original one, or the flared one?
There was one in
this
May
is
too,
here.
I thought.
Here we go. Right here.
Yep.
Okay, I gotta reduce.
I'm learning how to use paint also.
Good. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so resize. Let's do an 85. Okay, so see that. Look at the difference.
Wow.
Horn tubules. See, there's no way you can have sole when the foot is like this. See, but you're gonna start seeing sole ridge here anytime soon, and you'll start seeing more in the toe.
Look at today's pictures. I think it's starting to put some sole ridge.
Okay, oops, this goes here.
You can also see in this picture here that the quarter has come down. Like it was really, the coronet band in the quarter area is very high on the 30th, but on the 13th it's much better.
Sure.
Yeah, and look at the up here at the hairline and the cartilage.
Yeah.
Look how much smoother that is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
She still had some winter hair in May 30th, however.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I've always noticed that she was kind of bulged right here.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it's not just the hair. It's that there was a bulge because of the way the hoof capsule was and kind of bound
Angle.
stuff. This is just looking so much better. Wow. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, now we're going to go way down. Okay, quit that.
I think the new photos are on page 6.
Okay.
Right there. You got it right there.
Right here?
The page before is going to have the front feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the front feet are at the bottom of page 5.
Okay.
Yep, right there.
Okay.
Right here. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so let's look at this left foot again. See, that's a whole different foot from this other one. From that, That's a whole different foot from that.
That's 7 days later, isn't it?
No, that's 20 days, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
From the 30th, yeah, but from the 13th.
Oh, from the
That we're
13th,
looking at.
it's just a week.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, you're going to start seeing some changes now. See, now you're getting a halfway going towards normalcy, to where the capsule's starting to fit the foot and release the foot from its bondage that it was in. It's like the man in the iron mask. It's the foot. Been held prisoner. Okay, forget where I'm going here. Make it just a little smaller.
And I've noticed with my horse as well, when you look at the 30th of the 5th one, the coronet band is much closer to the ground than it is on the 20th of the 6th. Like the whole foot is much more upright now. And I found that with my own horses.
Oh, that's great.
Because the walls have come
Can you
more
say that again?
upright.
Because I was totally spaced out when you were saying that, and then I was just pretending I understood.
So if you were to,
Sorry.
if you were to have measured from the coronet band straight down to the ground, like in a straight line straight down, and on the 30th of the 5th there, it would have been much closer to the ground than it is here on the 20th of the 6th, because the whole foot has come back and the tubules are straighter, and the coronet band is actually further off the ground now at the dorsal wall than it was.
Okay.
And I did pull the apex line over to the side too. You can see that.
More elevation, and even the bony column looks different. Just the way the whole hood at the foot is being supported looks different.
Yeah.
Let's see, I wanted to just resize that a little bit. Make it more that size. Wow. Look at those tubules. That is just looking great. And look at the cartilage in the back, the way the bulb is so much more supported. And this area, look how that's come back and everything. See, that looks really good. That's awesome. Oh, take a picture of that.
And this is, as Linda's been saying the last couple of days, the importance of bringing the toe and the pillars back enough.
And see, I get lax on things, and I get lax on telling people things. Especially when people are telling me their horses get sore and stuff like that. I'm sorry, I get a little chicken to tell people, you've got to do this. You know what I mean? And
but it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. If you don't bring the toe and pillars back, your sole is never going to get thick, and your horse is always going to be a bit tender.
Yeah.
So he might get sore when you get him back, but it's only a temporary soreness of a month or so, as you're trimming and getting it back, getting the sole and everything to come back, tubules to move back. But then the sole can grow longer and your horse will be sound. But if you keep saying, oh no, I don't want to make him sore, so I'm going to leave his toe a bit longer, you're going to be saying that every trim for the next 10 years. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so it's like, sorry, I'm just spacing out on this, looking at these hooves.
Yeah, but one of the reasons this is working so well on her is that she has a really long dorsal toe wall. Like, what does your wall measure? Like 3 1/4 inches, 3 1/2 inches? If you have a short front wall, like 3 inches, 2 3/4, you can't keep taking that toe back. It's going to take
3 1/8 inch.
I mean, so you're over 3 inches, so that's great. And so you
don't do every single
bring it back. But if you have too short of a dorsal wall, you can't make your dorsal toe 2.5 inches, 2 3/4
No,
inches.
you can't. You
No.
can't. No. You don't want to go really below 3 inches, you know.
So you
But
just have to keep taking your pillars back until your toe grows in, even if it's in front of the apex too. Even if you're like 2 inches or more in front of the apex and you have a really short dorsal wall, what are you going to do?
But Carrie, what we're talking about here is horses with very forward tubules. If you've got a very short dorsal wall, you're not going to have very forward tubules. So this is just for this specific case of horses with really long forward tubules and long toes.
Okay,
Certainly don't take
okay.
more than 3 inches. Otherwise, you'll end up with a cone foot. Yeah, and you don't want that.
I'm trying to think because, I mean, I think even with you can have a short dorsal wall and still have very forward run tubules.
Well, if you let the heels grow too long,
yeah,
that can
you
happen.
can. You can. Now, do you have a picture of your horse's foot that's like this?
No, I do, but I don't have them loaded up because I just moved.
Okay.
So they're on my phone, but not on my computer. And I'm going to get to that too.
Okay.
But she is looking better because I have been really doing what Marilyn's been doing and what Mary Carroll's been saying about taking the pillar, making sure those pillars are back. And that has helped a lot, a real lot. But I'm just concerned because I'm getting 2 inches is my breakover now instead of 1.5 inches. You know, I guess the apex of the frog is coming back, but I'm not able to bring the toe back because the wall is so short.
Yeah, I'd
No,
really
you
like
wouldn't
to
bring your
see.
toe back in that
Huh?
instance, but yeah, you
What?
wouldn't bring your toe back in that instance.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh.
we definitely need to see photos of your particular horse to know what's happening.
All right. I'll get on that.
Yeah, we'll really be able to tell more, dear.
All right. Well, I just think that this Marilyn's doing a great job here.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
me
you.
too.
I'm jealous.
I don't blame you.
When you go to the sole view, are you going to be able to show us what you mean by pulling the pillar back? You do it from the bottom, correct?
Yes. I have done nothing from the top. Nothing. Everything I've done has been from the bottom.
You can see it on the middle picture. If you follow the tubula down, see how she beveled it there? How she took it back there?
Mm-hmm.
So is it just like a 45 from the bottom on the wall of the pillar area?
Pretty much a 45, yeah.
And then she blended it in?
Pretty much.
Yeah, see it?
And look how much it's grown out
Yeah.
over here, see?
From the 20th, yeah.
And how it came back more.
And as I said, that's only 1 week. That's how quick Dolly's feet grow, and that's why you really need to keep on top of it, you know, at least fortnightly, if not weekly. Otherwise, it's just going to grow forward again really quickly, and you'll be.
My question, though, look at the solar views, because I don't know what I can take off without having her soles above the wall, because she's just right there.
Okay.
If you give hoof supplements, you should contact the company and have them see the changes. You'd probably make them a bunch of money.
No hoof supplements. The only thing she gets is Hero because she's had laminitis and she tends to get a little porky.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, look at your heels or your the length there. That's really great.
yeah.
And how flat your hairline is in back.
It's coming. It's
Like,
coming.
in the previous photo, that the heel, that lateral heel, did
That's
come back.
the one where you can see that view is where you can see how her sole is just right there on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's very flat-footed here.
Gouchy.
But as soon as this toe comes back, moves back more, like it's not about taking it down. It's about just taking
Yeah.
it back, keeping it back,
Yeah.
and taking the pillars back. You can't take any down.
No, there's no down to go on her feet.
No, but you can still bevel this a little bit, so it gives it room. It gives these
Okay.
heels room to move back. So yeah, you can't take it down, but there's a difference between taking it back and taking it down. You know,
I know that in my head, but my rasp doesn't quite understand.
all you're doing is beveling the wall like what you were doing.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
you're still leaving. See, that's not a real strong, heavy bevel.
Uh-huh.
But it's enough to give the foot room to move.
Okay.
Isn't it funny how each side's different?
So if she had separation of the wall from the sole, would she clean that out with having this? Sorry, my dogs.
I'm trying to decide. Do you think this needs a little more beveled here?
I would. Yes.
And you don't have to do both sides. I mean, they're independent. Each side is independent. You know.
No kidding.
So
As Reza said, if you've got one problem side, work on that one problem side rather than doing both sides even.
yeah, and so like you could do this side next time, and that's probably going to drop that down just a little bit, you know, and let that foot spread out. Like the bevel you did on this foot here. Right there.
Marilyn's always beveled the medial side more than the outside. The lateral side has always been left longer, and I think that's the reason why the lateral heel is forward and the inside heel is more back, but it's still more bound.
Yeah, it's same with me. I do the same thing. You know?
It's very easy to do.
Yeah. And stuff, because you're always looking at for some reason we look at the outside more than the inside, and then we take a picture of the inside and we go, what the, you know.
Well, it's easier to do the outside than the inside.
What'd you say?
So you're leaving it longer though.
It's easier to do the outside.
Yeah, see, I from here to here, I think that could be beveled, because I do think some of that is jamming.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, look how long the wall is compared to the toe.
Yep.
You know, I think that'd be something to work on. That's what I'm working on my horse. I mean, if I were to show you his pictures, each side of the hoof looks totally different. You know.
Linda?
Yeah?
Could you explain what you mean by jamming?
Okay. Because, just a minute, let's go to this. Okay, your hoof wall starts growing from here. It grows down to here. Just a minute here. Let me get some. Okay, so your hoof wall, this wall starts growing here, grows down to here, it joins up with the sole here. Oops, wait a minute. And then they grow down to the wall together. Now they are dovetailed together. Dovetailed means they connect together like intertwining fingers, but the wall can slide through the sole. Like the sole only grows so long and then it dies. The wall can grow perpetually, and that's why the wall can grow past the sole and you can trim it off.
Right.
Okay, now because it's dovetailed, not only can the wall grow down this way, okay, and slide past to where you cut it off here, but if the wall is weighted too much, it will start to go the other direction and it will start pushing up this way.
Oh, okay, so that's what you mean. And so it's jamming back up into the coronary band?
Yeah, and the coronary band can move up to about 1/2 inch. If you have this hoof capsule off and you're to put your finger on this, you can move it up and down like that. You know, and so, but the thing is, if a heel is trimmed out, it can bend the capsule and make it look like it's jammed when actually it's just a bent capsule. So you have to be able to tell the difference between when the hoof wall has been weighted and is jamming up into the capsule and pushing up here, or if the heel's just trimmed out and it's bent the capsule. Sometimes you can have a combination of both. And there was something else I was going to tell you about that too. Well, and we make this work for us. We make this work for us when it comes to growing the heels, because we leave the heels, this part, a little longer than the sole right in here, so that it's weighted, so the growth as it's growing in will start to push up this way and replace back into here. Like, well, I had a picture of Valor that I posted where you could really see one side was really trimmed out, and then how much capsule I wound up adding back into the foot by doing that.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was amazing.
Okay, so this is based also on the fact that in farriery, okay, they don't believe that the sole bears any weight. So what they do is they trim the foot so that the wall is bearing the weight. Okay, and that is why many horses, most shod horses, have very jammed up hoof walls into the coronary band, and that'll also lower your coffin bone in the foot too, and that'll also affect your sole, and it affects the quality of your hoof wall.
So are you then, in the ideal world, are you trying to always trim the wall so that it's even with the sole, except for in the heel if you're trying to grow out the heel?
Close, yeah. Because the wall, what this wall really is for the sole is more of a retaining and support wall. See, the sole and the wall together, once the sole ridge is in there. Now, if you have thin sole, you're going to want to, sometimes you want to leave a little bit more wall.
Okay.
Just while you're kind of getting things together, give the foot a little more support. But ultimately, what happens is you get your sole ridge and you get your wall, and they share weight, and they each have a different function. Okay. The wall is a retaining, you know what a retaining wall is?
Yeah.
That's its main purpose.
It's meant to like hold everything together.
Yeah. Support the sole.
Okay.
And then they two together do bear weight. But in medieval farriery, okay, from the Dark Ages, the reason they weight the wall is because they believe that they don't believe this part of the wall. Just a minute here. Okay, they don't believe this part of the wall is what bears the weight. They trim out the sole, pare out the sole, and they put the shoe on this rim of wall because they believe that internally the lamina bears the weight of the horse. So what they're doing is they're putting all the weight on the thin rim of wall to transfer the weight to the inside sides of the foot. Oh. And that's why you have an epidemic of laminitis. I mean, think about it. What animal on the face of the planet bears its weight on the side of the foot? None. See, this is medieval corrupt thinking that is so permeated into their profession that when people like Gene Ovanik started studying wild horses' feet, and the horses, he saw that the sole bore a lot of weight, he was actually intimidated to even say that to his peers. If you read his research where he took wild horse imprints, You know, you can tell by what he says that he's almost afraid to even say it. That's how ingrained this belief is. It's like the holy grail of farriery, you know. And to touch it is like sacrilege. Really. And he's not the only one. I would read Pete Ramey's writings about the same issue, and no kidding, it's like they're afraid to say it. You know, well, we do think the soul might bear the weight. You know, it's like they're afraid of what their peers are going to say about them. That's how weird that belief is.
Wow. Well, thank you. I appreciate your explaining that.
Okay. I'll show you. I'll show you a picture. I'll show you what happened. This is the worst case I ever did see of what you call peripheral loading that jammed up hoof wall into the coronary band. Let's see if I can find it. I hope it's here. Maybe not.
That was a bit like when I was looking at that wild horse hoof that Chris Pollitt had. You know, and I put that video up that time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the video, they said the horse had no heels and what was it? Very small hoof with no heels and very little sole or something. I can't quite remember. But it's the way they interpreted it, because the frog had come out and around the back of the heels and were covering up the collateral groove exits. They just assumed the tiny little bit of heel at the bottom that they could see was the only bit of heel. Yet they don't seem to have any idea that the collateral groove, the frog will actually grow out around the back of the hoof and cover up the collateral groove.
Yeah, and see, it's the same mistake that the natural hoof care people made and stuff when they thought, well, the horse has low heels, you know, and stuff. And I see that one video I just did of the periopal. Did you see that?
Yes.
I posted.
I did.
And you can, you know, I've been trimming that frog out. And so I noticed now the frog, and I kept thinking, well, I hope that frog attaches to the heels like I think it's supposed to. And sure enough, it started attaching itself to the heel. You know, so you can imagine if it grew all the way down and then the whole foot dried out in the back. Well, here, let's look at this. This foot here. This minute.
That periopal skin that you showed us on Vala's foot made me wonder about my hypothesis of measuring the bulb and having the bulb the heel much the same length as the bulb, because with your periopal skin it made the bulb look really, really small. But is it actually that small, or is it bigger than the periopal skin?
I guess I'm not. Is the bulb that small? Well, see, that's the whole thing. I don't think you know, something's up with the way the reason they named that a bulb, and I'm thinking it's because so many of these horses had their feet trimmed out that it spread that periopal and made it look like a bulb, because all the periopal covers is the area of the coronary band and a little bit below it. You know, so about as wide as your little finger. That's all.
So how wide is the bulb on Vala now? Do you notice that?
Well, let's see. Let's go look here. Okay, where am I at? Oh, well, first I was going to just show you this really quick. Just a second here. Thinking of too many things. I'm starting to get. Okay, here's that one wild foot of Pete Ramey's that he should have studied more. Okay, this is the coronary band right up here. See the coronary band right there? Here, wait a minute. Oops, I screwed up. Let me annotate. Okay, so the coronary band is up here. Oops. Right there. Here it is over here.
So I'm thinking the periopal skin isn't supposed to hold the bowl, but it's still just holding the hoof to the to the leg.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to encompass the bulb itself.
Yeah, and so it's just this wide, you know, and
Yeah.
then here's where your frog starts. This is all frog skin right here.
Yeah.
And now look at the heel right here. Just like what you said. They think, oh, well, it has short heels. No, it don't.
Mm.
That heel is underneath this frog because this frog skin is attaching to the heel here.
Yeah.
Okay? That heel goes clear up to here.
Yes.
See?
And that's what they can't see.
Yeah, this is a heel buttress right here. See? In there. You can't see it because it's covered over by frog.
You can actually see it on the other side of the foot where it's the frog and everything's removed. You can see how long that heel is.
Yeah, clear from up here. See, and it grows from under here. It grows down like so.
Mm.
2 inches. Well, look, 2 inches. Okay, so about here is an ant. Well, I guess right here would be the periopal, right there. It's more like it at about an inch. And then, you know, it'll kind of go a little bit ways, but all this is frog stuck to the heel. And so they mistake this. And so when you trim the heels out, when you trim all this out and there's no frog, then this periopal skin here will stretch all the way down like that.
Mm.
You know, you can get 2 inches of that, but of course the heel has moved forward like this. So it's actually sidewall that you got and a false heel with big old stretch and makes it, and it's pulled all your cartilage and everything and rounded it out and made it look bulbish.
I can't understand why he didn't realize that the collateral groove is where you know, the bar comes from, and the bar is like the inner part of your heel capsule. So why would he think then that there's no heel when, like, if you measured from the collateral groove to his heel after he's cut this section off like there, he should have realised then, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should have, but they don't know the anatomy.
Yeah.
You know, they all of the books, everything are false. All the pictures are of feet that are deformed and distorted. You know, and so they don't know the anatomy. And of course, since they're all professors and work in colleges and got degrees, God forbid, you know, you know, they're blinded by their education because they've been taught wrong, and that blinds them to what they're looking at. You know, and they haven't pulled enough hoof capsules off enough horses, and the ones they have pulled them off of were probably deformed. You know, because when the hoof capsule is distorted enough, it deforms the inner foot as well. And you look at some of these old drawings and you can see where the feet are deformed from the way the hoof capsule was trimmed over time. And of course, they only have domestic horses, and you find very few domestic horses with good feet. You know, that haven't been deformed in some way, shape, or form. And so that's what
Louise was just asking on chat there, would you remove that frog skin there?
No, not on this horse.
No, because he's got good feet.
Yeah, he's got good feet. See, let's see. Yeah, no, this is like our model. This is like Mr. Perfect. We can find, see, that horse was perfect too. Perfect feet. Okay, that's this horse again. Look at the sole. Look at how thick the hoof wall was on that horse. Look at the sole thickness, sole ridge thickness.
Look how straight all those tubules are.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
run
with
forward.
the lamina. And look at the sole tubules. See? And how they're in alignment with the horn tubules of the wall and the lamina and stuff. See, that's the big thing we're doing. We're lining up all of these horn tubules and the sole tubules and getting the heels right so that we can get this sole. Okay, here's the foot again. See, look at that. You know, see, it's not the wall bearing the weight, but the wall is definitely supporting that sole ridge. You know, I mean, it's just a magnificent. Okay, now look, he looks like he don't have much heel, right? But we know from here, he's got 2 inches of heel. Under here, there's 2, under that. Here, I got to show you this picture. Just a minute, maybe it's there. No, I got to show you this picture. Just a second. Here.
Linda, while you're looking for that, Louisa came back with a question. Louisa from South Africa. She has a question that she put on the chat, and she asked, would you remove that frog skin covering the heel?
Okay, I'm going to answer that right now after I find this picture.
Okay.
See, first we're discussing what it is. You know, let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Look at this one. When your foot is not correct, yes, you will, because first of all, what you have on the back of your foot is not. Some of it is frog skin, but a lot of it is this periopal here that becomes like a belt, and shrinks up when the heels are trimmed out and not correct, and when a foot rotates up that way, then this periopal stretches with it. And so what you're dealing with mostly in your horse is stretched periopal, although you have a massive amount of excess frog you got to trim off too. But see, this is the big deal that we need to learn to tell the difference between what is periopal skin and what is bulb skin. This has been the big catastrophe in barefoot trimming, not recognizing this difference, which has led them to think that you always got to lower the heel to get frog contact. You know, well, what if you ain't got no frog? Then what? So just a minute here. Okay, now here's Valor's foot. Now, because when these feet get wet, if like that wild horse there, if he is to walk around in the mud for several days, you would be able to distinctly see the difference between what was periopal skin and what was frog. But when the feet are dry, it will all dry out to look like one same color. Okay, so it's wet here. So you can distinctly see the bulb skin, the periopal skin that covers the coronary band here. Okay, see, and that's as wide as my little finger. And you see how it's attached to the heel right here. And then you can, from here to here is frog. Okay, and this frog is meant the way the anatomy is, the way things grow. The frog attaches to the side of the heel as it grows. See there? Now you look up here, there is no frog skin there, but that's because I have been cutting it out. Because because my heels were forward and I'm still correcting my heels. And so if I allow this frog skin to stay there when I'm trying to get my heels back, then I don't think it's going to allow that. You see, it kind of, the bars and the frog, it all holds that heel there. See, if I'm wanting it to move back, now there might be another time when maybe your heels aren't right, but you don't want them also moving forward, so you might just kind of keep some of that. But for the most part, what we do is we trim up all this periopal and we'll cut this frog out right down to the bottom of the collateral groove here. See, I could come in here and I could take my knife and I can cut that out right there and open it up so it looks just like that, only clear down to here. And that's the way I had it for quite a while. I was constantly trimming that out so that my heels would grow in and move back and stuff like that. Okay. Let's look back at this picture here again. Okay, now same thing's going on here. Let's look here. Okay, what happened to you? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, it was over here. Where'd you go? Okay, this is if we're looking at the bottom of the foot. Okay, now same thing. Just a minute. I'm going to put this over here. We're going to enlarge it. Okay, and now we're going to compare this to this. The only difference between these 2 feet, okay, is that the frog skin from here to here is attached to the heel. Whereas the frog skin here is only attached to there because, see, I've been cutting it out over here. See that? Here's your, where's the annotate? Let's get a good color going here. Okay, here's your bulb skin, about there. Here's his bulb skin, about here. All this is frog skin attached to a heel that's right here. This is all his frog attached to the heel right here. Just like this. This is frog attached to the heel right here. And it would have been clear up here had I not cut it out. Okay, and this measurement from here to here is actually 2 1/4 inch. This measurement from here to here is about 2 inches. 2 to 2 1/4. Right here, 2 1/4. See, it's the same anatomically. Does that answer your question? Hello?
It did for me.
See, every time we go through this, I understand it more too. You know?
She says, thank you, makes sense in the chat.
Okay, good. And so, you know, different things we use when we learn what the foot is supposed to be, then we start trying to work out how to reverse engineer the distortion and bring the foot back to what it was meant to be. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Marilyn.
Yes.
What else do we need to do on your horse?
Can you take a quick look at her back feet? I'm going to be trimming probably tomorrow or Sunday. Just kind of give me a ballpark idea what I should be doing.
Okay.
They're on the same pictures from today.
I wonder if I can take a picture of this and have it turn out right. Ah, yeah, it did. Oh, no. See what I mean? When you take a screenshot of those annotated pictures, they never turn out right. I mean, look, where'd that come from? You know what I'm saying? That's just weird. Oh well. Oh well. I'm gonna save it anyway. Okay, so we're gonna look at your back feet.
Page 6.
Okay. Okay. Just a minute. I gotta drink some of this coffee. All right, page 6.
I don't want to take the annotations off.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
It's a pretty color.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, just a second. Oh, they're not on there. See? See, I was looking at the, they were on the, you know what I mean? I can't explain it. Those annotations I just took off were on here, and I thought they were on here.
Uh,
Okay. It takes a minute, you know. Oh, God. Okay. Well, you know, this is only like having major brain surgery, some of this stuff, you know. The horse's foot is so deceiving. You know, it's been deceiving men for thousands of years. Well, maybe not, however long they've been trimming them. And, you know, because the Greeks, Alexander the Great, they did not trim horses' feet. They did not trim out heels. It was all, that was the true natural horse, I'll tell you. They conquered the world on barefoot horses. Let's see.
The first pictures are before I did any mapping or scribing or anything like that.
Okay. What am I doing?
And the left solar ended up at the very bottom. Why I did that, I don't know, but it did.
Okay.
And you can see the toe callus that's kind of sticking up there. It was trying to exfoliate all by itself.
Okay.
So I took it off.
Just a teeny bit there. That's good. My back feet are slower than my front feet, but your back feet are actually looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good right in there.
The back feet are actually better than her fronts.
Yeah. You know, Marilyn, you just got to trim the back feet the same way you do the fronts.
Okay.
You know?
If you keep going a little bit, you can see what I did to the frogs.
You can see where her frog skin's attached to her heel right there.
Anymore.
It isn't anymore, huh?
Nope.
It's gone. Okay. Now that's looking very good. You know, this is going to come up a little more, and this is probably going to come down just a hair. You know, and this is looking very good. The pastern alignment, everything looks good on this foot, at least on that side.
Right.
And we could look at the other side and go, what is that?
She was leaning in that picture. I mean, her feet aren't that crooked, but she was leaning.
Okay.
I did the best I could.
Okay. You know, this heel's a little more run under, but it'll come back up as well. You know, that looks good.
The heels on the inside, you can see where they're connected to the bars. It's almost like they're laid over there. It's just a chunk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been dry. It's sandy ground, so her feet are dry. It's rained, but it just soaks right into the ground, so her feet are like rocks.
Yeah, I bet. Now, did you take the wall down any?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
so Linda, would you take that toe wall down to the sole now that she's cleaned the sole out?
I would bring the wall back. Because once you start rasping it back, like what I show in that video, let's find a flat picture. Okay, I would see. So, I don't know.
1.5 inch line is just in front of the white line.
Okay, well, here you can just come back to this line right here.
Okay, that's
Okay.
that's actually beyond her white line.
It is? Okay, well,
Yeah.
come back to the white line,
Okay.
cross here, then just come around and take your wall down practically to the sole and blend in your pillars. Okay, you don't want this wall being wider than whatever you do over
Right.
here. Okay, and then just blend in your pillars like so. Knock off these hard outer edges, and so you're leaving wall next to the sole, except for here.
Right.
Here, it's just like there's no leverage on the toe, but you still have wall supporting the toe. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay.
I've got a question though.
Uh-huh.
On the lateral side down on her frog, you can see there's kind of a little dirt line there.
Right here?
No, a little farther forward toward the apex, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did as much as I could to get that dirt line out of there. Should I make sure to get the dirt line out of the collateral groove? I brought the frog over quite a bit because it was pushing over toward the bar.
Yeah.
So I shaved it down quite a bit.
Yeah, you can come in here and take a little bit more of that off, probably.
Okay, her frog was really quite thick. I was happy.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. I mean, it looks healthy. It looks good. It looks healthy. I would just bring, do your bevel straight across the toe, blend in the pillars, and then knock off the harder outer tubules here.
Okay. Is there a rule of thumb that when you're trimming, you start with the toe or the heel, or does it make any difference?
Can you say that again?
Is there a rule of thumb when you're trimming? Do you start trimming at the toe or the heel, or does it matter?
I start at the toe.
Okay.
Some people, if they're nipping, they'll start at the heel. But what I do is I take the toe back first.
Okay.
I'm taking the toe back. Even if, sometimes I might rasp the whole wall down almost flat with the sole. But really, it's easier to take that toe back first. And then if you have to, you can come over here and you can lower this, and then you can do just your blend in the bevel. But I'm blending in the sides of that toe as I'm bringing the toe back. It's all kind of, because as you go straight across the toe, you're hitting those pillars anyway.
Right.
Over here, and then I'll just knock this down. And then, you wind up having a full width of wall next to there. And then I'll start knocking off the pigmented tubules. I want to leave wall next to the sole. Sometimes we bevel all the way over to the sole. In certain cases, but just put a bevel in there, knocking off the hard outer tubules, but leave some support for the sole at the same time by the inner wall.
I have a question.
Okay.
At the heels, where the heel and the bar intersects there, do you ramp the bar into the heel? It looks like you kind of go at a 90-degree angle and then start the bar.
No, what it is because the heels aren't correct. And they're not really trimmed yet either. What's happened is what she's done here is she's mapped and she's trimmed her bars already.
I think I need to bring the bars, right where the bar on the medial side there, where the bar joins the heel, there's right there, that chunk I think needs to come out of there.
Yeah, probably.
But it's hard
on the other side.
Well, see, we're not ramping really. Let's see, I tried to explain this last week. Her heels aren't, let's go back up here. We're creating a boundary for the bars. Okay, if you look at this foot here, you can see that this is pulled down and this is forward. So the bar you see here inside is not the true bar and where the bar should be. It's all pushed forward. Okay, so the bar line you see, we're making a new boundary line for the bar as well. You don't want the bar merging with the top of the heel, because then the heel will not be able to move back, because what the bars do is they support this heel and they will keep the heel wherever it's at. Like if the bar has grown over here and the heel is over here, it'll keep the heel here. So we make the bars a little lower, because actually the bar would be back here. You know, when all is said and done, what you're going to have is you're going to have a nice heel buttress, and then the bar will be level right here with the heel buttress and will taper down and end right here in the sole. But see, these heels are not in the correct place, so you can't just let your bar connect right here. You've got to change the boundary on it. Just a minute here. Where is it? Annotate. Let's use that color. Okay. All right. So your real heel is more back here. Okay? More back here. And so right now, here's the bar, and it's attaching into your heel where your heel is right here. You see that? Now your frog too is going to come back. All this is going to come back, and the foot is going to be longer. So right now, here's where your bar is. Okay, but in reality, this is more like where your bar would be.
Wow.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you can't just leave it here and leave it the same height as the heel. You've kind of got to, I mean, you may not want to take it clear down there, but you kind of got to keep making a new boundary for that. As that heel comes back, you're also making a new boundary for your bar. And that allows the heel to move, and slowly you'll get it all in there correct.
I've had to take bar off of her hind feet like every week.
Yeah, and here's another thing too. Look at the back foot here. See, like somebody would look at this and they would go, "Oh, look at these nice wide heels." Well, that's not really good because, oh God, how to explain this? All right. When the heels are trimmed out, like the real heel would be right here, but you know what shape is the hoof capsule? It's round like this, right? It goes like this. From the heel, it goes out and it starts getting wider, right? So as a heel is trimmed out, the heel moves out like this. Like this is a false heel. This is, as the real heel is trimmed out, the bar and the sidewall merge together to form a false heel. Okay, so as the heels grow back, unless the foot is contracted, which this foot isn't, okay, as the heels grow back, that heel's going to kind of move in like that and come back to its natural position. Now, one thing that happens when the heels are trimmed out like this, look at the bulbs right here. And see how wide that frog is? In truth, this has all been pulled forward and spread out. Okay, as your heels come back, as you clean up this frog in here and everything comes back, this area here is going to narrow up a little bit, and your frog is going to narrow up a little bit too. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that answer that question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay. We're hoof engineers.
I'll hoof something.
Hoof something. Hoof rejects. Okay. What else do you need to know, Marilyn?
I think that's pretty good. Louisa has a question. She says, how can you tell a real heel buttress from a false heel?
Well, that's a whole other hoof chat.
I know. Oh, one question. That hard chunk of stuff right in the corner where it's like the false heel buttress. How do I get that out of there? I tried getting it with a knife today, and it's so hard.
Just a minute here. You mean this chunk right
Yeah,
here?
that chunk right there on both sides. Both sides on both feet.
Well, yeah, really. How do you? Yeah, because that's hard. I know that
And
little
it,
chunk
I
right
got,
there, right?
since I have a little mini horse, I bought these little bonsai nippers.
Uh-huh.
So they're teeny tiny and they work really good for that bar area where you can't get your nippers in there.
Oh,
But
that
these are little tiny bonsai nippers and they get in there pretty good.
okay.
I can't use nippers anyway because I've got enough arthritis in my hands. I have no grip.
Well, these are one-handed because he was so difficult. I was able to use one hand and hold the foot with the other. So actually I have arthritis as well, but they're easier to use, but they were beneficial for the bar area because I couldn't get in there with the big nippers.
I'll have to think about those. Sounds like bonsai, you said?
Yeah, they're called bonsai root cutters.
Okay.
So
I got them on Amazon.
Okay. I know, cause see, I I think I dug some of that out of my horse in that video, a little bit, way up there in the corner. Yeah. Well, that's a good question.
There's no digging on that. I mean, it's hard as a rock. It's almost like I'm wondering if it's maybe hoof wall that's rolled forward.
Let me look at some more pictures. Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably part of your buttress. That probably is a real buttress, but it's just pushed forward and in the wrong spot. You know?
Huh.
So, I don't know what to say. You might.
Linda?
Yeah.
I thought my Hans had broken off his heels because they cracked back there. When it came off, behind it was the buttress.
Oh, behind it was the buttress.
Yeah, and there was lines in it. And I knew it was a real buttress coming in. But it was strange how it cracked off and then kind of shredded itself off, and then I could see the real heel.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, maybe one thing you could do, Marilyn, you could just take your rasp and rasp this down a bit.
Okay.
Sometimes you kind of got to start over. I mean, what is the distance from the very bottom here to right there? I mean, how high is this?
That is 1 3/4.
Okay, so you can bring it down to about 1.5 right there.
Okay.
And just kind of reset. Once you take that toe back and you take these down, if you take this down just a little bit, it's not going to hurt, and that's going to kind of soften that up.
Okay.
Okay? Because really, you're pretty weighted here in the wall. Yeah, I think you just need to go ahead and reset this heel by rasping this down. It's been a while since you've done that to this, hasn't it?
5.5 weeks since your last trim.
Okay. Well, then go ahead and just rasp these heels down a little bit.
Okay.
And that's going to soften that up and help you.
Okay.
Okay. And because, see, all you got to do is just take off that little nub in there. And I wouldn't worry too much. That doesn't look like it's anything that's going to hold it too much.
Okay.
Okay. How do you tell when you have real heel? Well, there's just there's a multitude of things, and you'll learn that as we progress and you stick with us. And but for now, I just can't go there. It just takes too much explaining, and we're now at about 11 o'clock. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How time flies.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that something that we can sit here and talk about this so long?
But it's so interesting.
Well, it is.
There's so much to learn. There's so much to see. There's so much to understand.
Yeah, there sure is, isn't there? And the more we do it, the more I understand too. I mean, because, you know, I have blanks, you know, and stuff. And, you know, I don't want anybody to think that I'm overly confident on stuff. I second guess myself, you know, and stuff like that. But the more we do this, the more we're seeing patterns of things that work, you know, and this has been a real blessing seeing how these feet are coming along. You know, thank God for Mary Carroll.
Oh, amen.
Amen and amen, double amen.
Well, I'm only like I am because of you, Linda.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, you know, I'm spread so thin, and I'm so thankful for you and your participation and your commitment to help people and stuff like that. I just know you just saved a bunch of people. So
We're always happy to help.
Because sometimes I just kind of want to run the other direction, you know. I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, I mean that, but I don't mean that, you know, because there's so many people that need help, and sometimes I just feel so overwhelmed and stuff. And so I'm just really thankful that people are just piping in and helping people, like Diane, for you, and just for all of you folks, you know, and stuff. Really appreciate you all. So.
Well, we appreciate you. I can tell you that much.
Well, thank you.
It's so good to have this these Zoom meetings, and we can all just bounce off each other, sort of thing. And if somebody says something and somebody else says, well, I tried that and didn't actually work, and then somebody else can say, well, it worked for me, and then we work out why it worked for one and not the other. And
and we usually, exactly, we find that foot was in a different place at the time, you know, or something like that. So all this is adding up into a lot of data that we'll really be able to put something good together for people in the future.
Yes.
So, well, okay, I think I'm done, folks.
Sounds good to me.
Well, everybody have a wonderful week, and I would like to wish you happy trimming.
Thank you. And I sure appreciate the help. I mean, this is just, it's amazing. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your input, Linda, and yours too, Mary. It's just, yeah.
Well,
I could not be doing this without it.
I appreciate your attention to detail. I mean, look at that.
Yes.
You know,
OCD perfectionist. What can I say?
I mean, it's awesome, and it's awesome. It's going to be awesome to see where these feet go, and I know it's going to help a lot of other people, Marilyn. You know, you're leaving a legacy here. So am I. Okay?
Well, a bazillion pictures, if nothing else.
Yeah, no. This is an example for people. You are a model. You are a role model. You know.
Well, for old ladies anyway.
Well, hey, I'm there with you. So.
You started a lot earlier than I did, though.
Yeah, but you know what you're proving is that anybody can basically do it.
That's true.
I mean, when you think about it, starting to trim at 73.
I started at 72.
Oh, okay, sorry. There's other people. I've already talked to people who are even a few years on you that are starting.
Wow.
Yeah. You know. So
it's called desperation. I mean, Dolly was going downhill. I mean, what was I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is encouraged.
Yeah.
To everyone.
Hi, Randall.
Really. Hi.
How are you doing?
Fine. Trying to listen as much as I can.
What time is it where you're at?
No, we are 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock at night?
We are 1 hour less than your time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're just south of me.
Oh yeah, I sleep 1 hour more than you.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, hey everybody. Have a great week, and
Thank you.
we'll talk at you at the next Hoof Chat.
Yeah, and I'll be taking more pictures tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank
You can take some of mine pictures.
Well, she's good at it,
Please.
isn't she?
The commute would be a little hard.
Did we
Yeah.
have anybody else here that was new that had never been here?
It was my first time tonight, Tammy Faree.
Okay. Yeah, I remember talking to you at the beginning. You had and
I have a constant stream of hooves that I can give you.
Oh, okay.
But I own 2 horses and a mini, and one is in shoes.
Okay.
The mini is a founder case, and then I also have a rescue that I work with that I trim horses for. So
okay.
I've got lots of distorted, crappy feet.
Okay. Well, good. Good. We need all the distorted, crappy feet we can get.
I wish I had I have a thoroughbred that I could never get his feet right, and there was something wrong with him, and I just couldn't figure him out. But he's moved along now, so I don't have access to him.
Aw. Yeah, I know. I had a horse somebody gave me, and I finally just had to put him down because I couldn't afford to feed him, and I couldn't get him sound, and nobody wanted him, and I just couldn't afford him. And so I had to put him down, and then now I think I know I could have probably fixed him.
Yeah.
I was still trimming heels out and all that,
Yep. I'm sure that's probably part of it because he could not grow any sole at all, and I was trimming heels out. So now that I'm seeing this, it's really opening my eyes to a lot of things.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
bless you for letting your eyes be open because there's a lot of people that don't.
I just want to do right by the horse, and I'm seeing evidence of the changes in the hooves and the soundness of the horse. And I've been doing trimming forever, and I've seen nothing but ouchy horses. And the end of the line was when my own personal horse had to go into shoes because he broke a bone in his extensor process from the weight and the thin soles. So there has to be a different way.
Yeah, well, and there is, and stuff. Well, that's great. I'm really glad to have you with us, and stuff because of your experience and stuff. See, that means a lot, and that's a great testimony. And so I'll be really looking forward to see what improvements and different things you see because you've been in this a while, and your experience means a lot.
Well, I'm excited to see it too. Can't wait. I hope that we can change some people's views because I hear it all the time. I have lots of friends. We discuss it, and it's all trimming out the heels. So
yeah.
And they're all different degrees of lameness.
Yeah, all different degrees and different things going wrong with them. And I think it's
everyone boots their horses.
Yeah.
To ride. Where's that rock crushing soul?
Yeah, what happened to that? I kept thinking that was right around the next tram for over 7-8 years.
Yep, I'm way past 8 years.
Yeah.
Still no rock crushing soul.
Sister.
I'm ordering new boots for Dolly tomorrow.
That's okay. But one of these days she won't need them.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. In the meantime,
that's what we all want.
I sold a pair that I didn't need anymore, so I got a little bit of money in the pocket.
Well, good. Good deal. Okay, well, I will let you guys go. Hey, great talking to all you guys.
Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
You're sure welcome.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Mary.
Good night, Louisa.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.